Mr. Patel on one day plans to, quote, shut down and reopen the next day as a museum of the deep state. That is one of many of the bizarre political statements made by the man who is asking for 10 years as director of the FBI. After meeting with Mr. Patel and reviewing his record, questioning him at the hearing, I'm convinced he has neither the experience, the judgment, nor the temperament to lead the FBI. My Senate Republican colleagues are willfully ignoring myriad red flags about Mr. Patel, especially his recurring instinct to threaten retribution against his perceived enemies. This is an extremely dangerous flaw for someone who seeks to lead the nation's most powerful domestic investigative agency for the next 10 years. What is this all about? What is Patel's mission? It's pretty clear the first item on his mission is to revise history, to somehow blame the police for January 6th, to call the National Guard cowards in uniform, quote unquote, cowards in uniform. Before his nomination, Mr. Patel was an endless source of outrageous conspiracy theories that benefit President Trump, claiming that January 6th was, quote, never an insurrection, quote unquote, and that the FBI was, quote, planning January 6th for a year. Planning January 6th for a year, he said of the FBI. It's not only dangerous, but what he's doing is irresponsible. Mr. Patel has even gone so far as producing and selling recordings of songs performed by the January 6 rioters who violently assaulted police officers. Mr. Patel calls these rioters political prisoners. Patel's sympathies are clearly for the convicted mobsters and not the police who were their victims. And now he wants to be the director of the #1 criminal investigative agency in the world. I was there that day on January 6th, as many of my colleagues standing here with me. Those insurrectionists are not political prisoners. They were rioters on a mission from Donald Trump. Before even being confirmed as FBI director, Mr. Patel was already seeking retribution on behalf of President Trump, despite his status as a private citizen. What is happening now, we verified through multiple whistleblowers inside this building and beyond. The new administration is cleansing the ranks of the FBI of anyone who may have participated in the investigation of January 6th. We are talking about 5,000 people in the FBI who were doing their duty as asked. 5,000 out of 38,000 who now stand subject to the new administration's scrutiny. Multiple whistleblowers have verified this information over and over again. Senior leaders with collectively 100 years of experience have been forced out, creating a leadership vacuum here at the FBI. Thousands of line agents fear losing their jobs simply because they were assigned to work on cases involving January 6th or President Trump. In the FBI's long history, this has never happened before. There was only one political person in the FBI, the director. All the others are professionals, law enforcement professionals, risking their lives for the safety of America. Mr. Patel has been open about his plans to dismantle the FBI and seek retribution. His directives as a private citizen have already thrown the Bureau into chaos before the actual vote. Mr. Patel will be a political and national security disaster if confirmed. My Judiciary Democratic colleagues and I have continually sounded the alarm. Now it is up to a handful of Senate Republicans as to whether they have the courage to step out and do publicly what they have told these FBI agents they want to do, and that is vote against Kash Patel. What is at stake is the future of the FBI, and I look forward to this vote today in the hopes that they will come forward and join us in this effort. Next is Senator Whitehouse. Senator, take it away. Sheldon Whitehouse.
Thank you, Nick.
Got to hold on to this.
Yeah. When left to his own devices, Kash Patel has proven himself to be a wildly vindictive partisan. When around Donald Trump, Kash Patel has proved himself to be a sycophantic suck-up. He has multiple foreign entanglements that are not adequately explained, including Chinese interests through Cayman Islands shell corporations. This from a guy who in this building is supposed to look out against China and Russia. And last, this is the first senior law enforcement official in American history to have pled the Fifth, and he has been unwilling to even explain to the Judiciary Committee what crimes it was that he was concerned about that caused him to plead the Fifth. Kash Patel, mark my words, will cause evil in this building behind us, and Republicans who vote for him will rue that day. Senator Coons.
This morning, tens of thousands of FBI agents got up to do their job, to serve our nation, to help to keep us safe. And later today, the Senate will vote on whether or not to confirm Kash Patel to lead the men and women of the FBI. The Bureau needs and deserves a politically independent and capable leader to stand up for the brave men and women of federal law enforcement. And after the confirmation hearing and questions, it's clear to me and my colleagues here that Kash Patel is not that leader. He is a yes man for President Trump, already undermining the critical bureau he wants to lead, already demonstrating an alarming willingness to do the bidding of a vengeful White House. Whistleblowers have alleged he's helped orchestrate the purge of senior FBI agents, its leadership, and those involved in January 6 investigations before being confirmed. When Kash Patel in the future breaks the law, violates norms, erodes trust, and harms our public safety, every Republican who votes for him today needs to know that they will own those facts. When he weaponizes the FBI, and he has literally said he plans to do just that, Republicans better hope that that weapon doesn't end up pointed at them. The men and women of the FBI who bravely serve our nation and who keep us safe at home and abroad deserve better than Kash Patel. Americans deserve better than Kash Patel. And we intend to vote against him for confirmation today. Next is Senator Blumenthal.
Thank you, Senator Durbin, for your leadership. Thank you to my colleagues for their work. Many of us as federal prosecutors have spent a fair amount of time in this building. As U.S. Attorney, I work closely with the FBI. Let me say, no building in our nation's capital better deserves the American flag than this one, because the FBI agents who work here, put their lives on the line, risk everything for our country, are patriots and heroes, and they deserve better than Kash Patel, who promised, I'm quoting, all FBI employees will be protected from political retaliation. He said it under oath. At that very moment, he was involved in directing covertly the purging of FBI employees based on political retribution. At the very moment, under oath, he was denying that there would be any political retribution. And in fact, in the days that followed, top leaders were fired, and a lot of employees were given word that they would be let go as well, simply because they were involved in a criminal investigation of Donald Trump to which they had been assigned. They did what they were assigned to do, and the result was political retribution. For all the reasons that my colleagues have outlined so well, and I think that, there are just overwhelming number of factors that argue he is unprepared and unqualified. He has an enemies list. He has these foreign entanglements. He has talked about and glorified the January 6th rioters as political prisoners. There's no question he is unqualified and unprepared. The only question is whether my Republican colleagues will do the right thing. And let me say to Republicans who may vote for Kash Patel, this vote will haunt you. You will be held accountable. You will rue the day of this vote if it's in favor of Kash Patel, because the American people will hold you accountable, and we will make sure that the American people know about this vote. And with that, let me introduce Senator Padilla.
The first of our California delegation.
Good morning. I want to thank Ranking Member Durbin for bringing us together today. It's pretty clear to me what's going on. If you think back to President Trump's first term, his trademark strategy was to try to, quote, flood the zone, to muddy the waters, to put us in a state of constant chaos for the purpose of confusing the American people, make people feel overwhelmed with so much that happens in a single day, and to distract from the real dangers and threats that he represents. He's doing it again, and doing so to try to pull attention away from the extreme nominees he has put forward to serve not just in his cabinet, but in a number of high-level positions in the administration. So for people listening to us today thinking, well, maybe this is just politics as usual. Of course, Democrats are going to oppose President Trump's nominees. No, this is not a distraction. This is a real danger and a real threat. Only in the year 2025, when President Trump has the Republican Party basically in a headlock, can an extreme nominee like Kash Patel be put forward with the support of the president and seemingly the support of Republicans in the Senate. Kash Patel has consistently demonstrated, as you've heard over and over this morning, a complete lack of judgment, a lack of preparation, a lack of the independence necessary to serve as director of the FBI. So no, this isn't just politics. There is a real threat to the safety of Americans in every community across the country. If he is confirmed, the purging of law enforcement will continue. If he is confirmed, this department will be weaponized as he has threatened to do. If he is confirmed, Americans will be less safe. Now, we expect this from the president. The question now is to our Republican colleagues. Will they abide by their oath of office, their commitment to the Constitution, their loyalty to their own constituents, or will they too fall behind the wishes, behind the whims, behind the dangerous agenda of Donald Trump? That is a question at hand. And as you've heard from my other colleagues, not if, but when Kash Patel breaks the law, when the FBI misses an important link and a crime is committed in the United States because the FBI was redirected to a political agenda, not our public safety, every member of this committee or every member of the Senate who votes for Kash Patel will also be held accountable. It's now my pleasure to introduce my colleague from the state of California, Senator Schiff.
Thank you, Senator Padilla. More than 30 years ago, I served as an assistant U.S. attorney in Los Angeles for almost 6 years. There wasn't a finer law enforcement agency that I worked for at that time, nor have I witnessed in the 30 years since than the FBI. But inside that building right now, there is a attorney in Los Angeles for almost 6 years. There wasn't a finer law enforcement agency that I worked for at that time, nor have I witnessed in the 30 years since, than the FBI. But inside that building right now, there is a purge going on. Inside that building, FBI agents who have dedicated their careers to protecting the public are being purged from their offices. Thousands of FBI agents have been sent questionnaires asking them about their work on the January 6th investigations. And let's just take a moment to understand what that's all about. On January 6th, a violent mob attacked the Capitol, beat police officers, bear sprayed them, gouged them in the service of an even bigger crime, which was stopping the peaceful transfer of power. Not only were these agents who are being purged assigned those cases and did their assignments, but they did so in a righteous prosecution against those involved in attacking police and attacking the peaceful transfer of power. But they're being purged. And the man that they would have head the agency, the man that Donald Trump would have head this agency, is someone who made common cause with those violent attackers. This is someone who joined them in song, helped produce music by these people who beat and gouged and bear sprayed law enforcement officers. This tells you something about the character of Kash Patel, or rather his lack of character. This is someone who said he wants to close down this building and open it up as a museum of the deep state. This is someone who, when I asked him whether he was aware of any firings within the Bureau or any potential firings within the Bureau, said he didn't recall. Said he didn't recall when whistleblowers have said he was deeply involved in those firings of top FBI personnel. This is someone we cannot trust. This is someone who lacks the character to do this job, someone who lacks the integrity to do this job. We know that. Our Republican colleagues know that. The only qualification Kash Patel has to be FBI director is that when everyone else in the first Trump administration said, no, I won't do that, that crosses moral, ethical, and legal lines, Kash Patel said, sign me up. In the first Trump administration, as we are seeing in the second, you rise to the level of your sycophancy, and no one is a bigger or more dangerous sycophant than Kash Patel. This political hack does not deserve to be in this building. He can't do the job. He won't protect the public. He will misuse the resources of the Bureau. He will weaponize it against the president's political opponents rather than protecting the safety, the public safety of the American people. We will vote no. Our Republican colleagues, intimidated by this president and threats of primary challenges from MAGA world, may vote to confirm him. But as my colleagues have said, they will have to live with that vote, be accountable for that vote, and be accountable for all the destruction that Patel does to this premier law enforcement agency. We stand, us Democratic members of this Judiciary Committee, stand shoulder to shoulder with the professionals in the FBI, with law enforcement everywhere, and we wish our colleagues would do the same. And with that, let me proudly introduce my colleague, Peter Welch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's like we're in the Windy City here, kind of Chicago cold. You all are doing pretty good. Well, it's not quite Vermont cold. I mean, we know cold in Vermont. You know, I'm not going to repeat the things my colleagues have said, which I agree with, but here's the context. Since January 20th, Donald Trump has been on a lawless rampage. He has invaded the authority of Congress by canceling programs that have appropriated funds. He's inflicted cruelty on people who have been loyal public servants and agencies across the country. He is threatening farmers with these high tariffs, calling it an emergency. Kash Patel is a crown jewel in this lawless rampage. He's an instrument of Donald Trump's effort to destroy the Justice Department and the FBI so that he is absolutely and completely not only above the law, but beyond the law. He's called it my Justice Department. Kash Patel agrees. He willingly agrees to carry out the vengeance tour of Donald Trump.
These guys are pissed, man. Good morning. We got the 22nd of February. I'm going to turn down my mic just a little bit there since these guys are running kind of quiet and loud. One thing that I noticed a couple of speakers ago, I don't know his name, but he was talking about how the FBI is going to be politicized now, and it wasn't before. That's a bunch of bullshit. My recollection of J6, okay, as soon as, and I was watching, as soon as it all went down, it was announced that the FBI responded. I didn't see any, let's say, men in FBI jackets at the top of the steps showing force around the Capitol in FBI jackets. I mean, you've got half the country's extremists right there, right? But they weren't anywhere to be seen, right? In J6, FBI having coffee, just chilling somewhere else, not even there, right? They responded. No, they're all mixed up within and helping, opening up doors, letting people through, giving a tour, actually. I don't know if that was the FBI, but giving tours inside. So it's crazy to hear the way these guys are double reversing. This guy here is talking about how, oh my gosh, people that have been loyal to the crown, basically, been loyal, working for the government, losing their jobs, programs going away. These programs were created to embezzle money, to launder money. So I'm not sitting here going, Donald Trump's going to save us. I don't know. Seems like he did a pretty good job his last time around. So we'll see. I mean, I'm just here to document, give my opinion when I can to losers like this. They're pissed because they're going to lose their jobs, and they've been running a politicized FBI already. Now, what I'm going to do later on is play some old Bobby Powell videos where he was on that front line. Hey, what's up, Tetro? So I'm going to, later on, I'll play some Bobby Powell videos. He actually went with Pete Santilli, and Pete Santilli pussed out. And Bobby Powell went right up to the front line without going into the Capitol, but he filmed what he called out as an agent provocatoring. He broke a window. He says, I mean, I excited myself to go back through it. But Bobby Powell filmed what he said is an agent breaking a window and leading people into the Capitol through that window. And Bobby Powell, being a Marine veteran, and he's been trashed. He's been trashed on, like he's been targeted by some of the subversives even that try to talk shit on me. It's just crazy. Because of Pete Santilli, at that time, being friends with Bobby Powell, and shortly after J6, and they went together with their chicks, their wives, and shortly thereafter, J6, Pete Santilli picks a fight with Bobby Powell, and Bobby Powell was like, "You motherfucker." He's like, I knew it. I didn't want to believe it, but what the hell, right? He got it infiltrated. So we'll be playing some of those videos later on. Thanks for joining in. Wow. Here we go. Hold on.
That's what he does. This FBI has been so revered in our country. Sure, it has issues at various times, as every agency does. But this has been a non-political agency, no longer. And when in the confirmation hearing, my colleagues Adam Schiff and others asked about the purge.
Body language alert. Here we go. Let's see if I'm...
Every agency does. But this has been a non-political agency, no longer. And when in the confirmation hearing...
See how he leans forward to convince you. This old fuddy-duddy, he needs to be retired. If he's paid, I don't know who it is.
Agrees
he
to
needs
carry
be.
out the vengeance tour of Donald Trump. That's what he does. This FBI has been so revered in our country. Sure, it has issues at various times, as every agency does. But this has been a non-political agency, no longer. And when in the confirmation hearing, my colleagues Adam Schiff and others asked about the purge, he heard nothing, see nothing, hear nothing, say nothing. He didn't know anything about it. 2 days later, it comes out he was masterminding it and implementing it as he was lying to us in the committee. So the biggest threat to our country right now is Donald Trump's frontal assault on the rule of law. And one of the generals...
Thank God. You mean that blue line of silence you guys have been helping keep going with gangs within our law enforcement to help traffic women and children, drugs, fentanyl, giving confidential informants that are minors, drugs. I mean, I could just keep going and going and going and going. Yeah, that rule of law, thank God, that hopefully, well, I'm declaring, decreeing. I want it to change. Yes. Their rule of law has been tyrannical. And they're full of shit. They might be baby eaters. Damn it. Definitely kid traffickers.
In that assault is Kash Patel. We must defeat his appointment as the FBI director.
Thank you. Questions? Too cold for questions? Too cold for... We stand outside the building that Mr. Patel on one day plans to, quote, shut down and reopen the next day as a museum of the deep state. That is one of many of the bizarre political statements made by the man who is asking for 10 years as director of the FBI.
I just, holy shit. Make it a memorial scene. Oh my gosh. It's a memorial for the day. Should we give a moment of silence for the old FBI? Doop, 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 doop. Holy crap. Okay, so that's on loop. Oh shoot. Okay. I gotta let this just play for 1 minute, then we're gonna switch.
After meeting with Mr. Patel and reviewing his record, and questioning him at the hearing, I'm convinced he has neither the experience, the judgment, nor the temperament to lead the FBI. My Senate Republican colleagues are willfully ignoring myriad red flags about Mr. Patel, especially his recurring instinct to threaten retribution against his perceived enemies. This is an extremely dangerous flaw for someone who seeks to lead the nation's most powerful domestic investigative agency for the next 10 years. What is this all about? What is Patel's mission? It's pretty clear the first item on his mission is to revise history, to somehow blame the police for January 6th, to call the National Guard cowards in uniform, quote unquote, cowards in uniform. Before his nomination, Mr. Patel was an endless source of outrageous conspiracy theories that benefit President Trump, claiming that January 6th was, quote, never an insurrection, quote unquote, and that the FBI was, quote, planning January 6th for a year. Planning January 6th for a year, he said of the FBI. It's not only dangerous, but what he's doing is irresponsible. Mr. Patel has even gone so far as producing and selling recordings of songs.
The old system's being crushed. I mean, it's exciting, but I mean, I know that, and some others know that it's just the implementation, in my opinion, of the one world order. We've passed the new world order. The Illuminatis thought that they could take power, and they did under technology, advancements of technology. And I think that things have had the table flipped on it. But what you do is, I've always kind of put it to the test on censorship. Before the Obama administration, the Obama administration had his information czar. He helped cognitively infiltrate Obama's information czar. Cognitively infiltrate the internet to full-blown censor to help their candidates get won. That was Kash Sunstein. We've talked about him before. Harvard and Yale, director, I believe, of the law departments, voted, I believe, by Glenn Beck, the most evil man in America. But, I mean, to cognitively infiltrate the internet to heavily censor their agenda. So, to kind of go back, I mean, I've put it to the test myself through censorship. What are they going to censor? Put it to the test. Lose some fucking channels. Right? Oh my gosh. And I blown through some pretty cool channels, I think. Some fun channels. I think the biggest one that I shouldn't have lost, because it went down. There were like 3 channels that went down with one, because at that time, the way they had premium, the YT platform, the way they had their premium set up, you could have up to 3 emails under that one account. So you had 3 channels for like $10 a month, or $7.99 or $9.99, whatever it was, okay? And when my main channel went down, it automatically took down 2 other channels, and that was the Axiom Probe. But what was interesting is I was able to, without even accessing the 3rd account, was the WLRP, Colorado City. The WLRP, for some reason, I was able to jack into it through a streamer and keep streaming to it. And all of a sudden, and I was even, I would say about 6 months ago, I was able to log into it. For some reason, it popped up, and I logged into it, and I did some stuff to it, and I streamed to the WLRP a few times, and then all of a sudden, it went down. It's gone. Like, I haven't even checked the email. Why? But it's interesting. So when you're multi-streaming to multiple channels, I mean, you would think the AI would pick up on all, like, let's say all 3 channels I go to. That's why I do just on YT, like 3 different channels at a time. So just in case one channel gets struck for one thing, but the other 2 channels are still there. So what's going on? I mean, I thought you guys had sophisticated AI to pick up on these things. Right? So all of a sudden, why did the WLRP channel go down just one day? I guess I streamed to it, but the other 2 didn't go down. So you see, that's why I do what I do. You guys don't realize it's part of the audit. Been auditing them since 2012. How they're going to use a big platform or platforms to further their bullshit agenda. It's like they wanted to have a doo-doo show, and President Trump's like, well, I want to have a LARP show. And the LARP show out-trumps the doo-doo show. I'm just saying, the professional level trolling, the high-grade, God-level trolling going on. I would say if you got a family, you know, kids, close friends, good job, you might not want to do what I do. I've said that before. Or what I've been doing, right? Oh my gosh. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this, okay? Screw these old fuddy-duddies for right now, all right? The PI for Hire channel that I'm on. If you actually click on the icon for the PI for Hire channel and read what it says, okay? I haven't even talked about this yet. That's actually the channel logo is actually taken. It's a picture taken off of a hoodie, a sweatshirt, and I wear it just about every time that I stream, just in case I get home invaded and shot. Well, you guys know what happened on the other side. Okay? Because they haven't liked some of the ideas that I've presented for some reason in their little shit show, their doo-doo show. I mean, I was getting over 20,000 hits on my first channel doing structured water videos until they didn't like me in their algorithms. And you would think they would just send you an email or go, hey, dude, we're catching some stuff. We don't want you to talk about per, you know, or you get visited, have a nice little talk to. Hey, you might be screwing up something with national security on your structured water unit. DIY. Instead of spending, you know, a few hundred and a few grand, right? Here, $65 DIY. There you go. Right? Well, it's a little more expensive than that, but getting 20,000 hits. No, you know what they did? They assigned a crew like Spamton, okay? They were sitting there waiting and watching for almost a year, and then once I really got some traction, it pissed them off. And they assigned their troll crew to you. But that includes warlocks, losers, murderers, rapists, chomos, pedos, preds, CP suspects, puppy mills. What else should we go into? In multiple sectors to pop up and lie about you so you get canceled. And that's all right. They could try. I mean, they tried. It was fun. What the hell is this old funny
Those who vote for him will rue that day. Senator Coons.
Wish I had CC on this.
This morning,
Holy
tens
shit.
of thousands of FBI agents got up to do their job, to serve our nation, to help to keep us safe. And later today, the Senate will vote on whether or not to confirm Kash Patel to lead the men and women
This is before he got confirmed yesterday. Holy shit.
of the FBI. The Bureau needs and deserves a politically independent and capable leader to stand up for the brave men and women of federal law enforcement. And after the confirmation hearing and questions, it's clear to me and my colleagues here that Kash Patel is not that leader. He is a yes man for President Trump, already undermining the critical bureau he wants to lead, already demonstrating an alarming willingness to do the bidding of a vengeful White House. Whistleblowers have alleged he's helped orchestrate the purge of senior FBI agents, its leadership, and those involved in January 6 investigations before being confirmed. When Kash Patel in the future breaks the law, violates norms, erodes trust, and harms our public safety, every Republican who votes for him today needs to know that they will own those facts. When he weaponizes the FBI, and he has literally said he plans to do just that.
What about the past weaponization of the FBI with all these sellouts and shitbags, especially like Ray Epps, right? Mark Connors, Mark McConnell, another shitbag that likes to get up in the middle of events and lead people into their demise, like the murder of Lavoy Finicum. What a bunch of shitbags, seriously. But what's interesting, even about the Ray Epps situation with J6, and then him being around the Bundy situation, and even if you go back to the end of the stream, very last stream, you go back at the end, there's an overview of Mark Kessler there. And Mark Kessler was also somehow mixed up into the Bundy situation, and he even became a chief of police or something like that. And then you got the story of David Hinkson that's at the end of that last stream, and I'm going to play more. I think later on, I think I'll end out on that confidential informant stream. But even the way David Hinkson had a shit bag, Elvin Schweischer testified against him using stolen valor. Schweischer claimed that he was the one that planted the flag in Hiroshima. And he's a fraud. He was trying to claim that he was the real one that planted the flag, not the other guy. No shit. And because he was wearing medals and insignia and a World War II hat, David Schweischer, on the stand, the jury believed him, and they prosecuted David Hinkson. He died within the last few years in prison. He was trying to do remarkable, innovative things, and they had to shut him up. Even got him on RICO for some reason, he's wanting to make pumps to filter water, the filtration part of the pumps for some Bill Gates product to pump water in Africa and then to filter it. And David Hinkson, from what I gathered, had the contract and they didn't want him part of it. And all of a sudden they ripped him out of chow line one day in prison, all ready for the testimony of Elvin Schweischer using stolen valor. Anyways, that was his first charge he was in, and then they rip him out of chow line, and charge him with RICO all of a sudden. And then David Hinkson dies in prison. He was a World War II Navy vet. That's got to be the implementation of the early on of Operation Vigilant Eagle to silence veterans. This shit's been going on for too long. I mean, any chance, even that's why I was, I don't want to say a proponent of the Bundy standoff. I was there to see what change would happen from this type of standing up, standing on your ground, telling the government you have to back down. You're doing the wrong thing. When do you draw the line of standing up for protecting your property? No shit. And I'm not being paranoid, right? Like I just told you about the hoodie, the sweatshirt. No shit, man. When I stream, just in case, man, home invasion, I'll be wearing that hoodie. You'll know what happened. But hopefully that's all changed. Maybe that's what I really wanted to do, is document some of this and then retire, man. And hopefully everybody has a better life. And if the one world order gets implemented and everybody got shammed, I mean, not the first time, but just like with the CV-19er, it's not the first pandemic or whatever to try to wipe out as far as genocide. It's not the first time something like, we made it through worse. I'm still here, 2025, February 22nd. We're still here. This dude shouldn't be. Well, I'm not saying he should, leave the planet, but I mean, this guy should. I mean, he just. I don't even know who he is. I don't even know what senator he is, governor, whatever, right? But first time I think I've ever seen this guy. I'm gonna say he needs to be fired. All these freaking crybabies that got together, all they're doing is lining themselves up to be fired. I mean, this is my warning. Because I kind of see what's going on. If they're implementing the one world order through email and one YT account, and one Facebook page, Farcebook page, and that's put it to the test yourself. I've been putting shit to the test since year 2000. Seeing how far they're going to take censorship. And what do you know? What everything else, the stolen valor and all this other bullshit, right? Doesn't stick. Here come the warlocks. Oh, there's the witches. Right? And that's what they do on that side. And I'm not saying I'm on any side. I'm very neutral. But Glaze and Dean will call that riding the fence post up my arse. No. The view's better when you got a little higher up advantage, okay? You watch everybody just fight each other. Grab your popcorn like Mr. Jones. And try to stay out of their way. That's my suggestion. Try to stay out of their way, especially if you got kids, family. Prepare mentally, physically, spiritually. I mean, I don't know. Hey, if there's a rapture, maybe this guy gets to go and we get to have one big party on the planet finally. A one world party. If they want to have a one world order, let's just have a one world party. Sounds good, right? Screw this Burning Man shit, right? That's all corporatized and it's not supposed to be, but it's all corporate sponsored, really, in the background. Saw through that a long time ago. Oh, wait a minute. It's supposed to be non-corporate type big party out in the middle of the desert on the playa, right, for Burning Man? Oh, wait a minute. It's corporate sponsor. Oh, wait a minute. Bureau of Land Management has its own tent, $1 million structure. Interesting. Oh, they get to, with Daniel Love. Oh, okay. Yeah, directing that of the Bureau of Land Management, right? They definitely didn't march around freaking dogs and tase people there at Burning Man for doing drugs and illicit things. Like there was Stasi. Daniel Love, by the way, if you didn't know, was the main in coordinating with the FBI during the 2016 Bundy standoff. Well, and the 14. But yeah, head of their bullshit for the Bundys to even fuck with them. But here's the thing that I found since 2016 and all that shit. I mean, I can sum it up real quick. You ready? Here, hold on.
Republicans better hope that...
Just in case that turns off. What I found is the whole agenda to go to soy. Soy everything, right? You got to get rid of ranchers to implement soy into everything. Burgers, right? Soy burgers, shit like that. But that's what Cass Sunstein was there too. He was there to try to figure out how far is too far on the public to how do I put that? Constitutionally, it's shocking the conscious, okay? Cash Sunstein, the information czar for Obama, okay? And it's actually pretty cool to be able to talk about this now. Now that there's, well, hopefully, I'll put it to the test, I guess. But anyways, 2016, Obama becomes, no, wait a minute, not 2016, 2012, right, or something like that. Obama becomes president. He's got his information czar and Cash Sunstein. They're trying to figure out how to get rid of ranchers and beef so they can mine the land for uranium, thorium, copper, nickel, other metals, precious metals, so forth, crystals, shit like that. Without any objection, let's put it that way. That's what they did. But the overall goal was to help get rid of ranchers to implement soy. Help make the pussification of America even deeper. These assholes right here.
That weapon doesn't end up pointed at them. The men and women of the FBI who bravely serve our nation and who keep us safe at home and abroad deserve better than Kash Patel. Americans deserve better than Kash Patel.
You know what? Since Tetro is here, Tetro, what do you think? You think there's going to be some job openings tomorrow over at the FBI? I'm just wondering. Not that I'm trying to. I haven't wanted to work for anybody. Been trying to stay as independent as possible. Have to try to kick handlers, potential handlers, out of my house. Right? Just because I vowed a long time ago, I after college, I'm like, no, don't want to go back to working in the government public sector. No. Doing music. Now look at me. Right. Hey, do you think they're hiring? Right. I might need a job. Let's take down some witches and warlocks. How do I get in? Tell me. Right, Tetro. No, and I would not LARP like that, like others. You go. I've been on the panels where I actually go. Yeah, a lot of these assholes are paid. They're like, why is the trolling so intense? Right, on other panels. Well, some of these assholes are, paid. They're like, STL. I can't remember his other name. STL. So like, I signed you up, man. I just want to make some money. Doing what they do. Same with Eric Shilkerson. Oh, really? You guys get paid, do you? Oh, wow. If anybody wants to troll my chat room, I will send your IP to the FBI. They're my friends. That's Eric Shilkerson. Right? So you go on these panels, and you got people who are like, I want to do it. But it sounds like you already are, dude. So, right? You guys are on notice. Kane's catheter over there. You guys are on notice. Many other little puppy mills, chili at puppy mills. They're on notice. I mean, you have been for a long time. I mean, even before I show up to go, you guys are fucking pathetic. Right? But, yeah. Sign these fuck bags to me, man. I'll put them through the Fat Boy program, running laps during lunch in a boot camp.
And we intend to vote against him for confirmation today. Next is Senator Blumenthal.
Thank you, Senator Durbin, for your leadership. Thank you to my colleagues for their work. Many of us, as federal prosecutors, have spent a fair amount of time in this building. As U.S. Attorney, I work closely with the FBI. Let me say, no...
That's like an Eric Shilkerson Sr. Eric Shilkerson, do you want to be that guy? No shit. All right. And I know this is a loop. It's just like a 10-20 minute loop or something like that. But this is
building in our nation's capital
great.
better deserves the American flag than this one, because the FBI agents who work here put their lives on the line, risk everything.
I'm surprised you assholes aren't flying a blue line flag next to it on the FBI grounds. You haven't taken it, but all the symbolism's there.
For our country, are patriots and heroes, and they deserve better than Kash Patel, who promised, I'm quoting, all FBI employees,
which I think makes him perfect.
employees will be protected from political retaliation. He said it under oath. At that very moment, he was involved in directing covertly the purging of FBI employees based on political retribution. At the very moment, under oath, he was denying that there would be any political retribution.
There already was. It was already like that. See how they're like crying. He's crying. Oh my God. I've always got a lot to say, but I think I'm being left speechless at how desperate. And you're going to see with the Bobby Powell films, we're going to play them. We're going to embed that shit.
And in fact, in the days that followed, top leaders were fired, and a lot of employees were given word that they would be let go as well simply because they were involved in a criminal investigation of Donald Trump to which they had been assigned. They did what they were assigned to do, and the result was political retribution. For all the reasons that my colleagues have outlined so well, and I think that, there are just overwhelming number of factors that argue he is unprepared and unqualified. He has an enemies list. He has these foreign entanglements. He has talked about and glorified the January 6th rioters as political prisoners. There's no question he is unqualified and unprepared. The only question is whether my Republican colleagues will do the right thing. And let me say to Republicans who may vote for Kash Patel, this vote will haunt you. You will be held accountable. You will rue the day of this vote if it's in favor of Kash Patel, because the American people will hold you accountable, and we will make sure that the American people know about this vote. And with that, let me introduce Senator Padilla.
The first of our California delegation.
Right.
Good morning. I want to thank
The yeas are 51, the nays are 49. The confirmation is confirmed. Under the previous order, the motion to reconsider is considered made and laid upon the table, and the President will be immediately notified of the Senate's actions.
Kash Patel has demonstrated a dangerous lack of judgment, lack of preparation, and lack of independence. He's shown that he's either unwilling or unable of putting politics aside in order to protect the American people and uphold the Constitution, should he be confirmed to lead the FBI. And throughout his career, he's shown a clear pattern of loyalty to Trump and of self-dealings at the expense of the American people. That includes undermining the FBI's work in order to protect Trump from investigation, profiting off of conspiracies about a, quote, deep state, and promoting an enemies list targeting public servants.
I was listening. Oh, I think it was Urban Disciples yesterday. He was talking about something.
Mr. President, Kash Patel has spent his career working in criminal law and national security. He spent his first...
He was almost, I mean, Urban, dude. You gotta get off this globalism thing. It might be okay, right? It's kind of past that too. I mean, the one world order, the implementation of it is going to take law enforcement. But is this law enforcement, this new law enforcement, is it going to be beneficial to preserving rights and inalienable rights, or is it going to be a total lockdown, right? I mean, in America, with a wall and everything, is it become more of an open prison? Possibly, because the way I look at it is, I mean, the border walls is important, I believe, constitutionally. So we're going to go there, right? Is important, but the problem is it blocks off a migration. In Arizona, we get a black puma or a black panther that migrates from Mexico up into Arizona. And I haven't seen them myself, but I've seen pictures of them and other people seeing them. But they migrate. And so the migration wall issue, but here's the thing, in my opinion again, well, not really my opinion, I mean, it's legal lawful in a sense. My mother immigrated to the United States legally. Dated a chick from another country that legally immigrated here. And, I mean, that was a serious thing, right, to go through. Big process. Does cost a lot of money if you're going to hire a lawyer. It's crazy, but I'm not the policy maker. It's like I just collect data that could either benefit freedom and inalienable rights, hopefully, and help people push through like a boot camp. In a sense. The Fat Boy program. Got a few on the Fat Boy program. What time is it? Oh, all right. Not close to lunchtime yet for me. Be putting some Fat Boys on the program, running laps during lunch, coming up here in a couple hours. Anyways, getting back to this.
8 years after law school as a public defender in state and federal courts in Florida. In 2014, he was brought on as a terrorism prosecutor at the U.S. Department of Justice, prosecuting terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda and Al-Shabaab. From there, he went to work in national security for the House Intelligence Committee, and then in the first Trump administration. Mr. President, as I said, the FBI has lost trust among the American people in recent years. Much of that stems from a perception that politics has infected the FBI's important work. And it's not hard to see why.
Coming up with the Bobby Powell videos, the tactic used against Bobby Powell with probably a subversive FBI agent was to cut him off financially. And you'll see in the film with Bobby Powell coming up that he is a grifting ass mofo. Not ashamed of it at all because of his fight. He saw what he saw at the
US
Capitol.
Senate has voted to advance Kash Patel for a full Senate confirmation vote, so he's on his way to being confirmed as the head of the FBI. And he's been critical of the FBI in the past and the deep state, as he calls it. When he is confirmed, are we going to see a pretty radical change?
Right. I thought the deep state was this ghost for everybody to chase that really didn't exist, right?
Well, look, I mean, so far with these other appointments, we have seen fairly radical change, whether it's, the situation in Europe or the cost cuts of, the so-called Doge. So we may well, but it's fair to say that the deep state or the FBI or whatever you want to call that class of bureaucrats really dislike Kash Patel because he exposed back in 2017 that the FBI was spying on Donald Trump's campaign. And various other aspects. And of course, that led to Russiagate and so forth, which was which ended up being a hoax, really. So he's deeply loathed, and he's determined to reform that institute. And look, I think it does need a reform. I mean, there's been many cases in the US of when it has been sniping and eavesdropping on Americans, when its focus really should be more external. That's for the CIA as well.
Plenty of Americans and people around the world are very interested in the Jeffrey Epstein client list, as well as the Diddy party attendee list. We know Kash Patel has spoken about this before, and Donald Trump says that he's going to make certain files public. I think there's a lot of interest in these cases, and I suppose we're going to get a bit more transparency with Kash Patel in.
Yeah, look, certainly that's true. I mean, the full list of the clients has not been released yet. I mean, we know some of the people that were close to Jeffrey Epstein and used to serve
Hey, if Cappy's alive, go Isaac Cappy.
and visited the island. I think Bill Gates was one of those people. That was very embarrassing for him. Look, it just remains to be seen. I think Senator Marsha Blackburn, a senator from the South, Republican senator, she is also pushing to have the list released. So, the more transparency, the better, I say. So, so let's wait and see what we get there.
Dang.
The
Recently,
grand jury sent down 9 findings and recommendations to the city of Hanceville, which include a rampant culture of corruption, abolishing the police department, and the death of a Hanceville dispatcher was the direct result of the Hanceville Police Department's negligence.
These officers find themselves on the opposite end of the laws they were sworn to uphold.
5 officers, including the Hanceville police chief, arrested following an extensive probe into the department. Dispatcher Chris Willingham was found dead in his office in August. His cause of death was the toxic effects of fentanyl and other drugs. Crocker says Willingham had access to the evidence room.
I would just say that nothing was secure about the evidence room, and when Mr. Willingham was discovered, there was evidence in his office.
Crocker went into detail on how people had access to evidence. It was through this hole in the wall. He says people would use the broomstick to jiggle the door open.
This individual who had the stick is actually sticking his head and upper body into the hole.
Crocker says evidence tampered with includes cases in Hanceville Municipal Court and in state court.
I am not optimistic about the ability to prosecute cases with tampered evidence.
The question remains how many that will be.
You're working on that. One is too many.
Grand jury found the Hanceville Police Department is acting more like a criminal enterprise than law enforcement and a threat to public safety.
The recommendations have been made to the public at large, and then whatever action is taken will be up to the mayor and the council.
We went to Hanceville City Hall to ask the mayor what's being done to correct the corruption. The city's lawyer handed us a statement and answered a few questions, including about the future of the police department.
That's something that will have to be addressed by the council and the mayor at a meeting.
Coleman County Sheriff Matt Gentry says if the police department is disbanded, the sheriff's office would take over. Preparations are underway right now, although no formal request has been made.
We will do what is necessary to protect our citizens in Hanceville, because they're not just citizens of Hanceville, they're citizens of Coleman County.
How is the people of Hanceville supposed to entrust their council and mayor to hire another police chief or more officers?
When something is done, my office, state agencies, sheriff's office are going to be there to assist them. The mayor and the council have pledged their full cooperation with this process going forward, and I take them at their word.
In Hanceville, Megan Scarano, ABC 3340 News.
Welcome back to the Truth is Viral, kids. My name is Bob Powell. I hope you can hear me okay. I broke my main microphone cord up in Washington, D.C. Had a pretty good time up there. Accomplished something I never thought I'd be able to do. After a vicious fight by federal prosecutors to keep me and my video of federal agents off the stand, it was allowed into evidence by a D.C. federal judge. And I spent the afternoon testifying to the truth of what happened on January 6th. Now, I would like to thank a young lady by the name of Tor. I guess she goes by the name of Tor Says. Don't know much about her except since I was in Washington, D.C., and I haven't, it's taken this long to get this episode of The Truth is Viral put together, because, you know, I like to put on a show. I like to give you guys some network quality entertainment as much as I can with the limited resources I have at my disposal. So, August 24th now, 2023, after more than 31 months of trying to, get the FBI's attention, I finally did. And we're going to talk about it now with
video is now part of the evidence in the federal court system. And that is a major, major victory. Roger, tell us about the trial today.
Well, he's referring to the trial of Nancy Barron, who is one of 1,200 or more so-called J6ers, January 6 defendants. And Nancy is currently on trial in Washington, D.C., U.S. Federal District Court. I don't know if you can see the Capitol lit up in the background. That's where we are. She's on trial for 4 misdemeanors. We call them the 4 standard misdemeanors, essentially entering and remaining in a restricted area, disorderly conduct in a restricted area, and picketing, demonstrating, or parading inside the Capitol. So she's charged with 4 misdemeanors. And what's important is that her location on January 6th was actually not far from Bobby Powell. And that's how we were able to call Bobby Powell and get him on the stand as a witness because he's relevant. He's a relevant witness to the facts of Nancy Barron's case, and they were within feet of each other at times, although they never met each other until 3 days ago. 2 days ago. 2 days ago.
Well, and I will add that I picked up Bobby at the airport, and as we drove over the bridge into D.C., I said, "When was the last time you were here?" And he said, "January 6th, 2021." Yeah.
This is my 4th visit to Washington, D.C. I came as a kid. My parents brought me on vacation. I took my son here in 2015 for a little ruckus. They call it the Truckers' Right Institution.
I remember that.
And in January 6th, and now here I am back again in the devil's den, the dragon's mouth. And I shoved the truth right down their freaking throats. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to see, they didn't want to know anything about old Bobby Powell in the video that I shot. Roger, can you tell them about how hard the government fought this morning to keep me out of that courtroom?
Well, I'll just say that it was not until, 2 o'clock in the afternoon at least. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he was the first witness of the day, and we had fought, myself and John Pierce, my co-counsel in the trial, we had fought most of the morning with the federal prosecutors and the judge, arguing that this is relevant, that it actually belongs in this trial. His testimony is relevant because Nancy Barron also saw many of the same things that Bobby Powell saw that day. So it's totally relevant. They could not argue otherwise. The government at one point, the prosecution, actually went to the lectern and argued to the judge that it was prejudicial to the government. And so we had to argue quite a bit. Then they tried to use witness intimidation tactics, which they do with so many defense witnesses, where they actually told Bobby Powell that he needed an attorney because he might be in criminal liability himself because they claim he, on January 6th, was in what they call a restricted area. It's so preposterous when you think about it, but they claim that there's a particular red line all the way around the Capitol grounds, extending out from the Capitol for hundreds of yards in places, and that mythical red line is restricted area, and so they actually threatened Bobby with prosecution. They didn't threaten him with prosecution, but they suggested that he needed an attorney to advise him. So the first hour or 2 of the day, Bobby had to go and meet with a public defender.
How'd you like that guy?
I liked him. He's a really nice guy.
You dress alike.
Yeah, his name's Carter. He's a really nice guy. Very jovial, and he listened to my story from beginning to end, and you should have seen the number of times his mouth dropped. For example, when I told him about the $200,000 bribe that Congressman Kerry Bentivolio had offered me to lose the video on behalf of Michigan GOP Chair Ron Weiser, and then threatened my life when I told him to go screw himself. Okay, he did not. His jaw just hit the floor with that. So, I'm not scared of the federal government. You cannot intimidate me. I am a United States Marine. We are not, intimidation does not exist in our vocabulary. And besides, if they ever did arrest me for anything, they put me on the witness stand and they can't object. Okay? I will tell them everything. I will tell them about the 10 times that I have written or called the FBI, the Department of Justice Inspector General, and the FBI's professional responsibility, offering to come in and give them my video from January 5th, 6th, and 7th and sit down for an interview. Each offer was refused. The FBI is scared to death of this video. That's why they fought so hard this morning to keep it out. What do you think?
I agree. Yeah, no, and what I was referring to was I thought it was quite humorous when the judge said, after talking to the public defender who was representing you as he left the courtroom, the judge said, and let's make sure it's on the record that he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. that was spectacular.
You know, I grew up in Florida, and I've seen more Hawaiian shirts in Washington, D.C. in the last couple of days than there are.
Have you really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they're just, it's like summer wear.
Yeah.
So what's our next step, Roger? What's going to go on with Nancy's trial next week?
Well, of course, the trial continues. We're on the weekend, but the trial, it's a misdemeanor trial. It's gone 4 days now, and it's going over the weekend until Monday. Bobby Powell's testimony has ended. He was cross-examined, and he's off the stand. So Monday the trial will continue, and probably I'll just say I'm thinking it may end Monday, or at least our part of it. It will go to the jury. I'm thinking by Monday afternoon.
And in just a couple of weeks, Ryan Zink, son of congressional candidate Jeff Zink, is going to be on trial. Ryan was standing right next to me when I was recording video of Hunter Emke breaking that Capitol window. He caught the same footage that I did. He's facing 30 years in federal prison. The only reason that I haven't been arrested is because I captured that undercover officer pulling the mask from its frame, and the other undercover officer holding the Columbus doors open with a pole. That's the last thing that the federal government wants to see in the record. And too bad, because now it is. It has been entered as evidence, and it can be used by anybody.
Let me say that we made a motion for a mistrial on the basis of a Brady violation. I'm sure your listeners and viewers probably know what a Brady violation is, but I'll just explain that it means that the prosecutors are sitting on exculpatory evidence and not providing it to the defense. Okay, so, and the word exculpatory means any evidence tending to show innocence, and that's a very broad category. Obviously, the footage that Bobby Powell shot on that day tends to show innocence for many January 6ers, and there's several ways that occurs, and it shows that undercover government agents, or likely undercover government agents, were actually playing major and significant roles. That's exculpatory evidence. It shows that an Antifa, someone who is actually, by all knowledge, is affiliated with, you could say, the left anti-Trump forces. An Antifa activist, in fact, broke the very first window at the Capitol, and it was caught on film by Bobby Powell. This is exculpatory evidence to so many January 6ers, and we, defense lawyers, not just in this case, but in every case, have been denied that footage in discovery. In discovery, the government provides, the prosecutors provide all these videos, body cam videos, closed caption, CCTV videos from the Capitol in different places. We have just, I don't know, thousands and thousands of hours that have been provided to the defense lawyers in discovery by the U.S. Attorney's Office, but lo and behold, they have never provided Bobby's footage to us in discovery, even though we know for a fact that Bobby provided it to them over 2 years ago.
Well, I provided it to him on January 15th, 2021, 1 week after the Fedsurrection. Okay, I not only gave it to the FBI, I gave it to NCIS, I gave it to the Secret Service, I gave it to JTTF,
Joint Terrorism
Task Force, and since then, my 10 offers have been ignored to come in and give them an interview and all the rest of the footage. Because I only gave them a small portion of it. I only gave them 29 minutes. I got a couple hours worth of it. Now, don't bother trying to get a search warrant for it because I've licensed it to Fort Fisher. Every second of that video is on his Twitter timeline. So have at it. It's yours now. Take it. Do with it. Cry over it. Take a Xanax and drink a box of wine.
Now, I'm standing here today telling you God's truth, speaking in the name of and with the authority of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because I am telling you the truth. It was the FBI and not Trump supporters who led the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th.
Still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets, sleepwear.
Whoa, Charles. Everyone now can get MyPillow products at huge discounts at MyPillow.com. That's right. Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our 3-in-1 sale. We're bringing you exciting new products, overstock specials, and closeout deals you won't find anywhere else. For example, when you buy one of our brand new MyPillow 2.0s, you get another one absolutely free. And with our overstock sale, you save 50% on our luxurious Giza Dream bed sheets. That's as low as $29.99 for the best sheets ever. And with our biggest closeout special, you get our all-season slippers for only $35. Or our sandals and slides for just $25. Quantities are limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
You made some points, which now the judge did limit your testimony a little bit because the prosecution objected so hard, and they insisted that you couldn't use the word Antifa, that you could not explain to the jury who Hunter Emke was and how he was aligned. So that did not really get to the jury. And the other thing was what? Oh, the judge limited Bobby from alerting the jury that particular individuals in the video were obvious, undercover government operators of some kind.
Well, the thing that really bothered me was, and I almost called the judge or spoke to the judge because the prosecution was committing another Brady violation right in front of his face. Part of Ms. Barron's defense is that she was pushed into the Capitol. And it's very likely that she was pushed into the Capitol by the same undercover operative that I was. Well, I didn't actually go into the Capitol, but he pushed me towards the door. Okay? So they took my video and they rolled it past the part where I had been pushed by this undercover federal agent. And I was just this close to saying, Your Honor, the prosecution is perpetrating a fraud on this court right in front of your face. But I didn't do it. I probably should have. But it is what it is.
Now remember that the footage, I think probably your viewers have seen it, shows first and foremost that a young man, you want to give his name? Hunter Emke, a very young man, obviously a man of the left, not a Trump supporter at all. The very first window, in fact, was captured by Bobby Powell being broken, and it wasn't by a Trump supporter. And officers initially detained him, and then
took his driver's license and let him go. And he self-surrendered at the FBI office in California. And they put an ankle monitor on him, and he's at home for a year waiting for his trial, eating Hot Pockets and playing video games, while just a mile away from here, people who did far less are still being held inside the January 6th DC gulag. Okay? That's a two-tiered system of justice for you. If you're a leftist, you get to go home and sit on an ankle monitor. If you are not a leftist, if you're a Trump supporter, by golly, you're going to be locked down. You're going to be in a solitary confinement. They're going to come up with all kinds of things to mess with you. And the guards, to my understanding, are not Americans. Have you heard that?
There are African guards over there that are contracted.
They're contracted immigrant.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
But there definitely are some.
Right, but
yes.
they're being told.
So you have to think about, do they have to take any kind of oath? I mean, as a law enforcement officer, don't they all take an oath? I mean, so
how would a foreign
national
be able to take an oath?
Exactly, that's what I want to know. Because I have talked to some of these inmates who have told me that they've tried to say to these kind of guards, you can't do this. You're breaking this, this amendment, whatever. And they look at them and laugh like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, to my understanding, the story that I heard, and I can't prove this, is that they were told, these contractors, that January 6th prisoners were white supremacists.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They actually were, when they were first in there, I don't think this is still going on anymore, but they were handing out paper newspapers of, what is his name? He's got like a newspaper, it's like a, Islam newspaper that's like hard.
Al Jazeera.
No. It's black guy over here who's like a
Farrakhan.
I think it's Farrakhan's
Nation of Islam.
I think it's his Farrakhan's newspaper. So they were putting it all in all their cells in DC, and that's all they were giving them to read. Yes.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, another major point in your video that you shot was, and this was right on the east side of the Capitol, while there were thousands of people on the steps near what people know as the Columbus door, or the east front major door, the biggest door on the front of the Capitol. What occurred was maybe, 40 feet, 20 feet? How far away from that door?
30 to 40 feet.
And a window was being broken by Hunter Emke. Then the officers got a signal from which Mr. Powell heard on their radios. He could overhear a signal coming from a supervisor,
a dispatcher of some type. The first radio transmission that I heard.
Flashback.
Asked how many defenders do you have at that window? That's a quote, verbatim. And the squad commander relayed back, we have eight defenders. At that time, I walked up to one of the Capitol Hill police officers wearing a white mask, and I told him, brother, I'm a United States Marine. I'm sworn to defend defend this Capitol. Nobody's going through a broken window during a riot on my watch. If you need backup, all you got to do is ask. And he said, thank you.
End of flashback.
And then what happened with the radio transmissions now?
And the second radio transmission came over the air, and it told the officers to displace from that window and move to another location, knowing full well that there was a mob outside threatening to go inside that window. So it was on purpose. And 90 seconds after those Capitol Hill police officers departed the area,
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
the man in black, who I call undercover number one, pulled that frame of glass from the window, stepped aside, and encouraged people to go in. But I wouldn't allow that. And then he saw my camera pointed at him, and he saw my press helmet marked media on one side and press on the front. And he saw my camera pointed right at him, and he changed his tune real quick. Instead of being a vandal, somebody attacking the Capitol, now he's pushing people away from the window. He pushes a guy by the name of Gavin Kroll and squares off of it. And after that interaction, the guy melts off into the crowd, and I never see him again except for a couple of frames of the Columbus store.
And you made a major point, which I don't think the judge allowed the jury to hear. But your point about why the man in black is obviously undercover law enforcement is why?
You tell me.
Well, because as far as you know, his image has not been uploaded. It does not appear on Sedition Hunters. Doesn't appear on these. When you go and look at all the suspects that they're looking for, they're not looking for him.
Yeah, and somebody that's such an important character in the whole thing. When they're, you've got people like Abs included in this, and there's others.
They objected when I tried to tell them that the FBI has never uploaded images of either of one of those two guys.
Yeah. Objection.
And I happen to know that the first guy that broke a window on the other side of the Capitol, the west side of the Capitol, the very first guy that broke a pane of glass on the other side of the Capitol is also unidentified. We call him red on red glasses. It's a guy wearing a red sweater. He broke the very first pane of glass on the other side. That was just 1 minute later, maybe 2 minutes later, after Hunter Emke broke the window on the east side. The guy with the red sweater on the west side was breaking a pane of glass. And of course, then a man that I've represented, Dominic Pizzola, admitted he broke the second pane of glass next to the guy in the red sweater. But anyway, the official government position is that they don't know and can't identify the guy in the red sweater. And of course, he's seen all over January 6th footage. In fact, he was right after Ashley Babbitt, right behind her at the time of her killing. He would have been the second person after Ashley Babbitt into the House chamber. That's the role that individual played. The government claims they can't find him, although it's very clear if you zoom in on the footage, he had a cell phone right in his pocket. It's very clear. And we know the government was tracking every cell phone. Every single cell phone is known. They were tracking every single one. So the footage shows that man with a cell phone in his pocket, and yet the FBI and the federal prosecutors claim they can't find the guy. And so the very first guy that broke a pane of glass on the east side was an Antifa activist, followed up by an undercover officer pulling the glass out of the frame on the east side. And then on the west side, we now know that the first guy to break a pane of glass is also unarrested, never been arrested, and supposedly can't be identified, even though his face is all over the footage. He's at every strategic point in the story on the west side, and it's obvious in his pocket he's carrying a cell phone.
Using my video and video from others who were on the east side, Attorney Brad Geyer has identified over 80 men who committed violence at the Capitol on that east side. been uploaded to the internet. I understand you've identified a few too. How many
We filed in the Proud Boy case on behalf of Pizzola. We filed. There's at least 50 that I. If you count the Metropolitan Police, that's the local police department. They admitted at that time during that trial in February, there were 24, at least 24 undercover or what they call plainclothes Metro Police undercovers, and then through other sources of evidence, we were able to identify from Jeremy Brown's case. It's pretty clear there were at least 19 or 20 Homeland Security federal undercovers, at least that many. We don't know how many FBI undercovers. We don't know how many there were for other agencies. We also do know from documents that there, and from the witness, actually the first witness in this trial that we're in right now, the first witness admitted that Capitol Police Department had undercovers. We don't know how many. So at least 50 that I identified. Brad Geyer, another lawyer, filed a document showing that there were at least 80. And by the way, after my thing was filed, a pro se January 6 defendant named Will Pope has filed a great document very recently in which he's identified that Metropolitan Police Department had at least 28, not 24. At the time I filed about it, there was only 24. No, we don't know there were 28. And that's just the Metropolitan Police Department. There are so many agencies that probably had undercovers. We don't know anything about ATF. We don't know anything about National Park Service. We don't know anything about Secret Service. I mean, all of these agencies, apparently, from everything we can discern, had many plainclothes people in amidst the crowd that day.
And I don't want no one to cry, but tell them if I don't survive, I was born free. I was born free. I was born free. Born free.
Now, I'm standing here today telling you God's truth, speaking in the name of and with the authority of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because I am telling you the truth. It was the FBI and not Trump supporters who led the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets, sleepwear, dog.
Whoa, Charles. Everyone now can get MyPillow products at huge discounts at MyPillow.com. That's right. Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our 3-in-1 sale. We're bringing you exciting new products, overstock specials, and closeout deals you won't find anywhere else. For example, when you buy one of our brand new MyPillow 2.0s, you get another one absolutely free. And with our overstock sale, you save 50% on our luxurious Giza Dream bed sheets. That's as low as $29.99 for the best sheets ever. And with our biggest closeout special, you get our all-season slippers for only $35. Or our sandals and slides for just $25. Quantities are limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
My mission is to stop you.
Oh yeah, so here we are back live. If anybody's got a question, I'd be happy to answer it. Hey Mark, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Patrick Belmar makes an excellent point. To beg for the blessing of authority is to accept that the choice is the master's alone to make, which means that the person is already, by definition, a slave. Well, I'm no man's slave. I bow before no man but Jesus Christ alone, and never ask Marine to kneel because they consider it a firing position. I want to thank again Tormar's viewers from the Tor Seth that came over during the live stream after I had testified in the court for making their donations, and because that's going to help me catch up on a lot of bills and provide me with the ability to multi-stream to multiple platforms at once. So I want to thank those guys for that, and for you guys for seeing this live. If you don't mind, go to givesandgo.com/Bobby Powell and throw me a few bucks, because this fighting the government stuff is expensive, especially when they demonetize you and won't let you earn a living from your show. I depend on you 100% for everything that I do. I do not mind putting myself out on point. I rather enjoy it, actually. I like to live dangerously. It's part of the alpha male mentality. I also like to do the right thing. And as much as I was allowed last Friday or last Thursday, I got up on a stand in a DC federal court and testified about what really happened on January 6th. This was video that has never been seen before inside of a DC court, and it'll be seen again when I go back for the trial of United States versus Ryan Zink. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to happen, but it's like a week or two out. So I'd like you to keep me in your prayers, if you would. That last trip to DC took a lot out of me. I'm an old man now, and I need your prayers more than anything. Okay? So if you don't mind, hook me up. Psalm 91 me all day long. But I'll tell you what, I knew I was covered in prayer when I walked in that DC courtroom. I was confident. I was wearing the full armor of God. And there was nothing that they could do to impeach me or my video. They tried to intimidate me, threaten me with, you might need a lawyer. Excuse me, but I don't need a lawyer. Our rights are given to us from God, enumerated in the Constitution. I volunteered to come in by the FBI's tip line by email or phone call 6 times. Last time, the woman hung up on me. Got all these recorded, by the way. So, and if you count the 2 complaints that I've made each to the Department of Justice Inspector General and the FBI's Office of Professional Responsibility, I guess that's a total of 10 times that I offered to come in and give them this video, but it scares them so badly, they just don't want to have any part of it. Well, it's too bad, because now it's in there. And there's not a doggone thing that you can do about it. You can kill me now, go ahead. Threaten me with a good time. I'm ready to go fish with my Lord. But until then, I'm going to continue to fight for January 6th prisoners. That Hunter Emke who broke the window, he stayed home on a ankle monitor for a year, awaiting trial, playing video games, eating Hot Pockets, and got 4 months in county jail. These Proud Boys like Dominic Pizzolo and Joe Biggs, they get over a decade for shaking a fence. It's not right. And I'm going to continue to fight with every bit of strength that I have, which admittedly is not much these days, to see justice done for January 6th. Another January 6th defendant just committed suicide yesterday. His death was announced. That's 4 so far, and that's not counting all the ones that are in gulags being physically abused, medically abused, psychologically tortured to the point of suicide. What's happening is wrong. And I've done all that I can to make it right. I have contacted all 535 members of Congress.
and told them about this video. 17 have responded and taken possession of it. 4 of them sit on the weaponization committee. Thomas Massey, Greg Stubbe, Matt Gates, and Jim Jordan. I personally handed the video to Thomas Massey and not Thomas Massey, but Matt Gates and Greg Stubbe. Matt Gates got his first copy at my Trump rally in Sarasota on July 3rd, 2021, and signed for a second copy in December of 2021 when I sent a registered letter to his office in Pensacola. I took a copy to Greg Stubbe's office. He's a congressman down here in Florida, and left it with his secretary, or aide, or whoever she is. But more importantly, I handed him a second copy at CPAC 22 on February 24th, 2022. Okay, so these, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, Louis Gohmert, they both signed for thumb drives over 18 months ago. And they're not saying anything. They're not doing a damn thing. They're tweeting. Well, tweets don't get the job done. I swear. Kevin McCarthy signed for the package in, let's see if I can get the date correct, February 3rd, 2022. So not only did he renege on his promise to release all the 44,000 hours of footage that Capitol Hill Police had captured on their surveillance, these people are hiding the video that shows that Trump supporters weren't in the lead of the attack. Yeah, they followed in after the undercovers had forced the issue, had broken through the ranks. That wasn't a real bright idea, but that's what they did. But the ones that were starting the violence were undercover federal agents, and we've identified over 80 of them on the east side alone. Identified them as far as the FBI has not uploaded their video, their photographs or images or video of them to the internet. So why is the FBI trying to keep these people's identity secret? Why they refused all of my offers to come in and sit down with them and give them an interview? These are questions for inquiring minds, and we want to know. Now, I will do my damnedest to continue working for you. Space Rangers says this whole damn country has gone insane. Yes, it has. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Mark just reminded me that besides the current members of Congress that I've given this video to, a former member of Congress, a man that I believe to be my friend, Congressman Kerry Bentivolio from Michigan, invited me to lunch at a barbecue shack in Bay City, and the ostensible purpose of the meeting was to figure out a plan to get my video to President Trump, because you can only imagine what kind of numbers and what phone numbers he has access to, right? United States Congressman. Got to have more phone numbers than I did. So after the initial pleasantries were over, hi Kerry, how's the wife and kids? How's church? How's the grandkids? All that crap. We get down to business, and he said, Bobby, what's it gonna get you to stop talking about your video, which had just been on Newsmax a month before? And I said, Kerry, why would I want to do that? It proves that President Trump and MAGA Republicans weren't responsible for the so-called insurrection. And he said, because Ron Weiser wants you to. You know who he is, right? I said, well, yeah, he's the head of the Republican Party in Michigan, the MIGOP. Why would he want me to stop talking about the video? Kerry says to me, look, he didn't answer my question. He just went right to, how about $100,000? I kind of laughed at him. I said, Kerry, get the fuck out of here. You gotta be pulling my leg. And he says, how about $200,000? Okay, now at this point I realize I'm actually being offered a bribe to lose my video and not talk about it again. This was on November 22nd, 2021. And I told Kerry, I said, look, you can go back and tell Ron Weiser. And if he wants me to stop talking about this video and promoting it, he's gonna have to kill me. At which point, Congressman Bentivolio says that can be arranged. You can see our Facebook conversation leading up to this meeting on my Substack at bobbypowell.substack.com. I would give my left nut to have a recording of that bribery attempt, but I don't normally record my friends when they ask me out to lunch. You feel me? So we really can't trust anybody but ourselves and our Lord. We really can't. People that you think are your friends, they'll be your friends up to some point. But you know, it's everybody's natural human instinct to look out for number one. It's the godly instinct that we've got to find that makes us want to help others before helping ourselves. And I have found that to be sorely lacking over these last 30-some months. I mean, people that I've sat around bonfires with, shared meals with, they won't even share my posts on Facebook because they're afraid they'll get fired. That's the kind of country we're living in now. And it's a damn shame. So if you want to help me out, here's what you do. Keep me in your prayers. First of all, go to bobbypowell.substack.com and share all of the posts that you can find there. It's almost entirely devoted to January 6th. You'll find out who's our friends and who's not, okay? And you'll find out a lot of stuff that you didn't know before. And I encourage you all to share it widely. Don't forget, if you have the ability, go to givesendgo.com/Bobby Powell and throw me a couple of bucks. The link's up there at the top of the chat. Just hit that, and I would be most appreciative. They have tried to grind me down. They have taken away all of my ad revenue and sources of income. They have failed. The good Lord has sent you good folks to my rescue in my time of need every single time. And I thank God for him being God, and I thank God for you. And I thank you for your prayers and everything, because it's lonely out here in fifth wheel country. I guess that's about it. I'm going to try to do this more regular now that I have a little bit of resources. I'm going to get that restreaming thing set up and learn how to work that. And I'm still going to start coming back with a regular 1 hour, well, no, 2 hours. Most of us make it 2 hours, maybe 3 hour talk show. Okay, I'm tired of talking at you guys. I want to hear what you've got to say. Okay, we tried that once before. It was a Mickey rigged setup. It worked out okay for its purpose, but it wasn't top shelf. And all I need is a $400 piece of gear to make this a very easy situation. Basically, I need a new mixer. The old one took crap, and trying to screen grab and rebroadcast on 2 different computers at the same time just was not working. So that's it. Thank you for watching this episode of The Truth is Viral Live. My name is Bob Powell. Thank you for watching. And as always, God bless, Semper Fi, and hoorah. I will catch you guys later. Whew. The fan kicked on. The air kicked on. That's a special challenge about living in a fifth wheel. I found out that you can't run the air and the microwave at the toaster at the same time, not with all this electric gear I've got going on back here. You should see this. I'll get a second camera set up next time, and you guys can see my little setup here. It's kind of cramped, but I'm making it work. I improvise, I adapt, and I overcome. That is what I do. So that's it. Thank you for watching. God bless and Semper Fi. Good night.
Hey, welcome back. Hold on a second. Yeah, it's on. My microphone is actually on for once. How about that? Welcome back to The Truth is Viral. My name's Bob Powell. That was my boy Anthony Hiley and Stand Up. Hope y'all are having a good New Year so far. It's been a while since we've been together. Since I got back from testifying in those 2 trials in Washington, D.C., I've been kind of under the weather, and I'm not one to bitch, so I haven't. But I'm getting back on my feet, so to speak. And exciting news, Epic Times new documentary, The Real Story of January 6th, The Long Road Home. What a title. Dropped last night at 8:30, and I've got a special little sneak preview for you right here, right now. And then we're going to talk to Sergeant Jen over at the Fusion Cell with Jeremy Brown, and we'll give you all the latest updates of what's going on with the court process and what's coming up next. But now, hear this. This coming Tuesday, I will be flying to Washington, D.C., paid for by the Epic Times, to attend a private screening for select members of the House and the Senate. Okay, it doesn't get much more important than this, kids. I hate to ask, but I have given everything that I have, everything that I am to this cause, and I am flat broke. Okay? So I need, the Epic Times is paying for the plane ticket, but they're not paying for expenses, and DC is wicked expensive. So if you can, please go to givesendgo.bobbypowell or givesendgo.com/Bobby Powell and drop me a couple of bucks. And, share this information with your friends too. Go to my Facebook page, The Truth is Viral. Find me on X at LivesObi, LIVESOBI. On Truth Social at Bobby_Powell, and just share the heck out of all of my stuff, because this patrioting thing is not cheap. I've spent over $100,000 of my own savings, my entire life savings, and about $25,000 of your money to get to this point, and this is not the time to ease up. We can't stop now. We've got them in the corner, and we're beating the hell out of them. And boy, I'll tell you what, this summer is going to be awfully exciting. I handed my video to the 18th Congressman. Last time I was in Washington, D.C., Congressman Clay Higgins is going to be my guest at this private showing on Capitol Hill for this new movie, January 6th, The Long Road Home, Part 2, The Real Story. So why don't we just get to that, and then we'll go to the Fusion Cell right away. I won't even have any commercial breaks, okay? Just watch the lower third. Make sure that you subscribe to All In Properties, and go to givesendgo.com/Bobby Powell and throw me a couple of bucks so that I can continue to save lives and win souls for Jesus Christ in these very last days. And right now I'm specifically fighting for these J6 hostages. They're not being treated fair. I was sworn to tell the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth when I was in Washington, D.C., and I was not allowed to do so. The government kept on objecting to they fought for 6 hours to keep me off the stand in the first place. And when they failed, they kept on objecting because, and I quote, I kid you not, they objected because, Your Honor, this testimony or this video is prejudicial to the government. I didn't even know that was a thing. So it blows a hole in the government's case. Big deal. Deal with it. It's evidence. But there was a lot of things I wasn't allowed to say. I wasn't allowed to say that I had offered to come in and give the FBI my video 7 times over the last 3 years, only to be refused each time. Wasn't allowed to say the words anti-fub, wasn't allowed to say undercover agent. I wasn't even allowed to recount a radio transmission that I had heard. They said, it's hearsay. Yeah, I heard, and they objected, said hearsay. I said, yeah, I heard it, and now I'm saying it. Hearsay is when you hear something from someone else. And they're telling you what happened. Well, I heard it firsthand. They tried everything they could to discredit my testimony, but they failed. Unfortunately, both of the defendants were still found guilty by a biased DC jury. But the important thing as far as this video goes is that it is now in the judicial record, and there's not a damn thing that they can do about it. It's there, it's done, and actually Judge Farquhar in the first trial almost declared a mistrial because the government failed to provide that video to the defense as Brady material. I had to go out and find these lawyers myself and give it to them. So these January 6 hostages not being treated fairly. Chris Worrell, the lymphoma patient down here in Florida, is being held in solitary confinement. He's not being treated for his lymphoma. He's got open weeping sores. So he's asked that we call his Congressman Byron Donalds and call Greg Stubbe while you're at it, because I handed him a thumb drive with my video of federal agents attacking the Capitol on February 24th, 2022. And I took it to his office 2 months earlier down in Naples. Or no, not Naples, but Venice. So, he sits on the weaponization committee along with Jim Jordan, Tom Smassey, Greg Stubbe, and I've given this video to all of them. Light a fire under their butts, okay? You do that, and I'll do this. And between the two of us, we'll start a ruckus and we'll get some justice around this piece. What do you think? Okay, so here we go with this 5-minute clip of my segment in last night's premiere of The Real Story of January 6th, The Long Road Home from the Epic Times.
This is now effectively a riot.
1349 hours, declaring it a riot.
Disgraceful scenes in the U.S. Congress.
Shameful behavior by President Trump. It is a shame in front of the world.
Deliberate assault on democracy by a sitting president and his supporters. The world is watching.
One of the most troubling questions from January 6th is whether there were provocateurs or suspicious actors in the middle of the crowd. Retired radio journalist Bobby Powell has been trying to blow the whistle for 3 years with video evidence he shot on the east patio of the Capitol.
I don't care if you're carrying an American flag or wearing a Trump hat. Nobody was going into the United States Capitol through a broken window during a riot on my watch. I was there as a reporter. I got down to the Capitol just before 2, and the west side was already under attack. And as soon as I get up to the top of the Capitol steps, I hear banging and crashing to my right. So that's really good footage there to join us. I turn my camera around and there's a man pulling that window completely from its frame. He asked me, why don't you guys open up the rest of it? And I said, because that would probably be illegal. So, it was clear from the things that he said to me that his intention was to open up that window and get people to go inside. I'm right there at the precipice of the Columbus doors when I hear a man in my left ear yelling, hold the line, hold the line, hold the line. Now, I feel his hands on my back pushing me inside. My camera turns around, by the grace of God, I catch a good video of this guy holding the doors open with a pole. As soon as I got everything together, I put it together a nice little package and I sent it to the FBI on January 15th. And to this day, he has not been identified. I don't care about money. I want this crime solved. They were calm. They were cold as ice. Okay, they knew exactly what they were doing. They acted like they were supposed to be there. Who are these men? Why have their images never been uploaded to the FBI database? Matter of fact, I've got the literal
receipts right here in my pocket. The United States Postal Service sending these thumb drives out 20 at a time. Reporters, politicians, they're just ignored. And it's really making me angry. I've given this video to everybody with a pulse in media. Nobody wants to talk about my two guys. They don't want to talk about the 80 other guys that Attorney Brad Geyer has found with his team of attorneys.
So at about 1:57 or so, the group of provocateurs broke away from about midway on the steps in the west, strafed the north side of the Capitol, and started gathering at the bike racks. Those bike racks were taken down in a coordinated fashion. It took 40 seconds. Meanwhile, directly to the east of the steps, there were hundreds of people stacked in there that included provocateurs and suspicious actors, and arrived at roughly the same time as the group that came from the northeast. We've worked with experts in that space, the suspicious actors that we've flagged as meriting further investigation. They're provoking police at the architectural stage. There's probably as few as 6 to 8 people who actually removed the barriers in that northeast. And had you not had them there to remove the barriers, the crowd behind would never have just moved to fill the space. Very few people had requisite intent to actively go and trespass. To most people, the vast majority of people who entered, they thought they had permission to do so.
And I don't want no one to cry, but tell them if I don't survive, I was born free. I was born free. I was born free. Born free.
Now, I'm standing here today telling you God's truth, speaking in the name of and with the authority of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because I am telling you the truth. It was the FBI and not Trump supporters who led the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th.
Like an untamed alien, if you can see my heart, you must be blind. You can knock me down, watch me bleed, but you can't keep no chains on me. I was born free. I was born free.
Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this?
It might make you uncomfortable and even sound a little crazy. But if I tell you, you can't go back to sleep. Here's the truth. You're under attack. We all are. Our children, our families, our communities. The saddest part is, they're only successful because we refuse to pay attention. For centuries, even millennia, they've conspired in the shadows and worked behind the scenes and hidden the truth behind cascading waves of lies and distractions. Can we be victorious? The Fusion Cell. I'll be your warrior guide, retired Gray Master Sergeant Jeremy Brown, with former Police Sergeant Jen. Do we have all the answers? Absolutely not. But together, we'll find them. Now, wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Fusion Cell. It's a new edition. We're doing interviews now, and I have the infamous Bobby Powell with me. Bobby, welcome to the Fusion Cell. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, Jennifer, thank you. I don't know about infamous, maybe. The most wanted, but not infamous.
You know, a little this, a little that. Now, you are a veteran. You're a Marine veteran. Can you tell me a little bit about your service before we start?
Well, it doesn't come anywhere close to Jeremy's. I only served a single tour in the Marine Corps. I was a mortar gunner assigned to 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines Weapons Company in Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii. Never saw any combat. Ronald Reagan was my commander-in-chief, and the world feared us then. So I was at the tip of the spear, but I never got to join the club, if you know what I mean.
Now, do you feel, as Jeremy does, that you took your oath when you became a military member, and that's why you're doing what you do today, or how do you feel about that?
No, absolutely. I don't recall being given an expiration date.
Okay. I feel
swore,
the same. So
when I held up my hand, I'm sorry, that's okay. When I held up my hand as a 16-year-old Marine recruit, I swore to defend this nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And as I said, I was not given an expiration date. And other men who have taken this oath or haven't taken it at all, might have just forgotten about what happened after January 6th. Matter of fact, a lot of the politicians that I've spoken with on the Republican side of the aisle want to forget about January 6th. They figure that it's the best way to win 2024 is to let the January 6th prisoners rot in jail and just move on. I was literally told this at Clay Clark's Reawakening tour in Miami a couple of months ago. Okay, and this is from somebody that would know. So, we can't count on politicians to honor their oaths because, it's called a truism. How do you know when a politician is lying? His lips are moving. Okay, they have one goal in mind, to preserve their own power, basically promote their own agenda. They don't care about the truth. They're scared of it.
That's really exciting to hear.
It is. Okay, January 6th, 2021, my fiance and I woke up at 0:30 and went to watch and record and broadcast the president's speech on the ellipse, and even getting there at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, we couldn't get anywhere near. It was packed, the front area. So we were about halfway between the White House and the Washington Monument. I was there with another person who I'm not going to name because he's irrelevant. Okay, but we were getting basically the same footage. Okay, so I told him, look, you stay here and keep recording the president's speech. I'm going to start walking down to the Capitol early so that I can get video of 750,000 people walking straight at me, which is what I got. I was successful in that mission. But by the time I got to the Capitol, and remember, I left 20 minutes before, probably more than a half an hour before the president ended his speech. And by the time I got to the Capitol, the West Side was already under attack. Okay, now my fiance had knee surgery just a couple of months before, and she was having problems walking. So we decided to bypass the West Side, despite my journalistic curiosity to see what was going on. We couldn't really see anything, just the big commotion, heard some what we thought were firecrackers, but we didn't know they were flashbangs. So we went around the north side of the Capitol, and a crowd had already started beginning to form at those steps, just going up to the Columbus doors. Now, instead of going to the apartment where, for lack of a better word, we had maintained a forward operating base, which was just on the northeast side of the Capitol, I put my fiance into the back of a Department of Homeland Security pickup truck, and I told her to sit right there. You will be safe. I will go do my job, and then we will go home. So the crowd, there were two waves of protesters, and I was like maybe 4 or 5 back. I was holding my press credentials in the air with my cell phone, and there were no hands flying. Okay, it was just a line of Capitol Hill police officers standing guard at the base of the steps, and protesters were yelling at them, okay, chanting Trump, 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 USA, USA, all this kind of stuff. And then the Capitol Police just started beating people. Started hitting them over the head with the sticks, and people immediately overwhelmed them. Because who's going to put up with that? They're just standing there peacefully and protesting, making their voices heard. And the Capitol Police just start beating them with their nightsticks. Okay.
So you saw that with your own eyes, that they were.
I did. I not only saw it with my own eyes, I recorded it on a camera.
Okay.
And when the rush occurred to go surge past these police officers, I was knocked down, and I was knocked down right next to this 70-year-old Air Force veteran, a little lady, about 5 foot nothing, right? And I just put my arm around her head and I said, honey, let's just stay right here and let this crowd pass us by. I think this is the safest place for us to be right now. So that's what we did, maybe 2 minutes. And then the majority of the crowd had already reached the top of the Capitol steps. And by the way, the magnetic locks on the Columbus doors were still sealed at this time. Okay, they were not open. So I get to the top of the steps, and as soon as I get there at 2:08 p.m.
Okay.
Oh, I gotta go back. When I was knocked down, I lost that camera. It's now in the possession of the FBI. And I've FOIA'd and asked for that back, and they won't let me have it.
But they for sure have it.
Yeah, they do. Because you know how Apple has the track my iPhone thing, right?
Okay.
I used my other phone to track it, and it went right to a security office inside the Capitol.
Okay.
And so, it went from my possession at the bottom of these steps to the security office in the Capitol, I don't know, within about a half an hour. But anyway, I had 4 other cameras with me that day.
As a big journalist.
Yes, there's no such thing as redundancy when it comes to ammunition or photographic equipment. You can never have enough. Okay, so exactly 2:08, that's when I started recording at the top of the steps. I hear a ruckus of the smashing of glass to my right, and an Antifa guy by the name of Hunter Emke was smashing a window to a Senate office. And he was righteously taken down by Capitol Hill police officers, because you shouldn't be doing that, right? Okay, obviously he was committing a crime, and he was arrested and detained. And get this, they took his driver's license and they let him go. Now, tactically, that was a smart decision. I mean, how are they going to maintain 8 police officers? How are they going to maintain control of a prisoner when there's a whole bunch of other people yelling at him? You're not taking him. Okay, we are going through that window. So they let him go, and he was arrested at his home in California a couple of weeks later. And he spent a year at home on an ankle monitor in his basement, eating Hot Pockets and playing Call of Duty before his trial came up. He was sentenced to 4 months in prison. That's it. So now, after these 8 Capitol Hill police officers let Emke go, they were standing around guarding that window for about 10 or 15 minutes. And they received a transmission over their radio asking, how many defenders do you have at that window? And they replied, 8. And I walk up to one of the Capitol Hill police officers, and I said, brother, there are 9 defenders here. I swore an oath to protect this nation from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and nobody's going through this window on my watch. So if you need some backup, all you got to do is let me know, and I'm there for you. And he thanked me, and I got back to, filming. A second radio transmission telling them to displace, to leave a broken window completely undefended with a mob threatening to go inside. Which is what they did. They walked away.
Do you know, excuse me, do you know who gave that order? Who was talking on the radio?
It was just a dispatcher. I FOIA'd the on radio transmissions, but the FOIA request was denied. But 90 seconds after those police officers left the area, turning around and picking up some pieces of glass, right? Because I didn't know what started this. I knew it was a momentous event in history. I just wanted to take home a few souvenirs. I didn't know what started it. I didn't know how it was going to end, but I wanted something to take home with me. So I was picking up some glass, picking up trash and whatnot, when I hear a crunching sound on my right-hand side. And a voice asking me, why don't you guys open up the rest of it and go inside? I said, well, that would probably be illegal. And he says, well, I know, but, and then the audio kind of trails off and you can't understand what else he said. But the crunching of the glass got so loud. I mean, it was loud because he was beating the crap out of that window, and it forced me to turn around just in the nick of time to capture this man who was dressed in paramilitary gear, had an earpiece in, face mask, pulling this window completely from its frame. If you want to go ahead and roll that Epic Times video. I'm just picking up garbage. Do not go in there. Okay, go ahead and pause it. Now, as of this day, what is it? November 1st, 2023. The FBI has not uploaded a single second of the 29 minutes of HD video that I provided them on January 15th, 2021. I have volunteered to come in and give them an interview and all of the video that I shot on the 5th, 6th, and 7th 6 times over the last 2.5 years. Each offer has been refused. So, yeah, the last thing that the FBI wants is for my video to get in front of a federal judge. We'll talk about that though later, because they kind of failed on that one. You saw that man pulled the glass from the window.
Yes.
Okay. And then I had to break from reporter mode when another Antifa by the name of Gavin Kroll, the redheaded kid with sunglasses who tried to rush in, I wasn't going to allow it. I don't care if you're wearing a MAGA hat or carrying a Trump flag or an American flag. It doesn't make any difference to me. The Capitol is a place that you just don't break into. Nobody was going through a broken window during a riot at the United States Capitol on my watch. It just wasn't going to happen. Got in the way and captured video that man pulling the glass and Gavin Kroll trying to walk in. And there were a couple of other people that I kept out, but I was too busy keeping them out to be recording it. So let's go on to suspicious actor number 2.
Let me ask you before we go on, what do you think was said between those two? Between Antifa.
I know exactly what was said because Gavin Kroll saw my video and contacted me, and I interviewed him. You can find it on my Rumble channel at Bobby Powell. The Truth is Viral on Rumble. Okay. I think the title is something like Federal Officer Assaults GC Protester, something like that. But anyway, during this interview, Kroll told me that man in black blamed him for tearing out the window. He says, "Why did you break out that window? What are you doing that? Why? Well, who do you think you are?" Because now this guy in black, he didn't realize. I'm assuming. This is just. It's just the most logical thing. He did not know how long my camera had been rolling on him, so he was trying to cover his own ass and blame the kid in the redheaded kid with the sunglasses. And let me tell you something. Gavin Kroll's no
angel,
innocent. He's not. He's an anarchist. When I was in Washington D.C. testifying for one of the defendants in a trial, I saw a video of him outskirts of the East Side tearing down barricades. Okay, so he's no angel either, and he's also a convicted child molester. This is something that I did not know at the time that I interviewed him.
Or else you didn't, or else maybe on the day, if you'd have known that, you'd have said you should jump through that window.
I would probably throw him off the balcony. I don't know. I don't like child molesters. I love my kids. I've got 5 of them. If anybody ever hurt any one of them, God help them. Now, if you'll start that Epic Times video again, we'll get on to the second federal agent that I recorded attacking the Capitol. He's holding the Columbus doors open with a pole, and he was pushing me inside, or trying to push me inside. Let it go. that he's pushing me. Okay, you can actually see the forward motion of my camera, and that's why my video was relevant in the case of U.S. v. Nancy Barron, because she was pushed into the Capitol by this same man. Okay, go ahead and let it roll. Okay, now comes my favorite part. He drops his pole, reaches down to pick it up, and as soon as he stands up, he gets hit in the face with a pepper ball. I hope it hurt.
Now, the person helping him, could you tell if they were together?
No, I was actually blinded. What saved me basically was nothing short of miraculous, because as he was trying to push me into the Capitol, the Senate doors to the Senate chamber swung open, and a formation of Capitol Hill police came out and started squirting. It's like well, they were firing pepper balls, using all kinds of different chemical irritants. I got a liquid in my face. I was functionally blind when I was taking that video. So I consider it nothing less than divine intervention, because I was able to catch good video of this guy nice and close up. But again, as of today, the FBI has not uploaded a single image or a single second of either one of those two men to their FBI database, their YouTube page, or their Facebook page. They're putting up all kinds of fuzzy images of people milling around outside, not doing a whole bunch of nothing. But they don't care about looking for these two guys.
Did you hear at any time a notice to disperse?
No,
at any time?
Not. No, there was no. We had no cell service either.
But there's speakers all over the Capitol.
Well, yeah, there are speakers all over the Capitol, and you could hear the alarm going off. But there was no order to disperse. It just was a melee that broke out, and nobody did anything about it.
Okay. None of those police officers, I mean, they're standing right there in front of that window we just saw. And none of them said anything to anyone, it looked like, at least in your presence.
No, they didn't. Well, they spoke to each other, but they were whispering in each other's ears, right? So I wasn't privy to what they were saying during the 10 to 15 minutes that they were standing there and guarding that window.
But nothing publicly, nothing to the crowd, nothing like that. So
no.
Okay.
Not even was it not broadcast over a lot of loudspeakers. The officers themselves didn't say a word to the people that were saying that they were going to go into the Capitol. Since January 6th, and God, I'm telling you, if you want to make God laugh, tell him about the plans for your life. Because after 36 years as a journalist, I was supposed to retire on January 7th. Okay.
And is
not much of a retirement.
Was this the most I mean, maybe the biggest event you'd ever been to, or the most chaotic, or how could you compare this event to all the others that you've been through throughout your career?
Well, I'm not a riot journalist. I'm just not the kind of guy that goes looking for trouble in the streets. Antifa fighting Proud Boys or whatever. That's not my thing. After January 6th, the Standing Rock protest was the biggest thing that I'd covered. At least as far as national news goes. I've broken a lot of local stories. My very first story fell into my lap on my first day as the editor of the Palm City Mirror in 1987. young boy by the name of Todd Patrick Neely, who's 16 years old, had been accused and convicted of attempted rape and attempted murder. He was convicted in a bench trial somehow, but and he went to his lawyer's office after his conviction, and that's where the press gaggle was, waiting for him, asking questions, and everybody's asking him stupid stuff, right? But I'm taking him seriously because he said that he was at a bar, restaurant, 15 miles away at the same time that the woman, and her name was Linda Zavatsky, I believe, was being attacked. And I know from personal experience, because I lived in this area and I DJ'd at the same, I wrote for the newspaper in the daytime and DJ'd in local clubs at night. But I DJ'd in that same club every Sunday. So I know how long it takes to drive from Stewart to Palm City. Okay. And the prosecution had said that Neely gave his family, he was going outside to smoke a cigarette while they were having dessert, got in his car, raced, must have been at least 120 miles an hour over curvy roads like this, right? And attacked this woman, and then raced 120 miles an hour back to before his family noticed that he was missing, and somehow he got convicted. Well, it took a year of investigations. I started working with a private investigator that the family had hired, and we eventually found what they call canvas sheets. When a crime occurs, you know how cops go door to door, asking if anybody had seen anything.
Yeah.
And the Martin County assistant prosecutor, his name was Peter Neal, he had charged and convicted Neely, already. But he had these canvas sheets. He had not brought forth this exculpatory evidence because he wanted a conviction. The canvas sheets identified another young man by the name of Dennis Rather, who lived in this woman's apartment complex, who had a history of being a peeping Tom. So we eventually found out that it was him, and Todd Patrick Neely his conviction was overturned. He was released with the apologies of the court, and eventually won a $3 million lawsuit. And Assistant State Attorney Peter Neal lost his job and eventually lost his license to practice law. I assume that he's spraying Lysol in their bowling shoes in Texas or something. But I kind of ruined his career and saved a young boy from spending 20 years in prison at the same time, and I've been chasing that feeling ever since.
Wow.
So,
like the first year that you started, and then now the last day of your career. It's like, well, I think that's stay in the game, stay in the fight.
Well, he can help me. I've had 6 heart attacks since January 6th. It's not been easy, because this footage is so explosive. Nobody wants to touch it. It's radioactive. I've known Sebastian Gorka's wife, Catherine, for years, as well as you can know anybody on it as a Facebook friend, right? So I sent this video to Catherine Gorka to give to Sebastian Gorka. I think it was the 12th of January. Same day I gave it to Sean Hannity. I knew Sean Hannity. Yeah, I figured I've realized that now. I thought Sean Hannity was a good guy. Apparently he's not. But I had direct access to his executive producer because the radio station that I worked for up in Michigan is Matt DePerno, who uncovered the voting irregularities in Antrim County, and started that whole rigmarole and ran for Attorney General Michigan in 2020 and lost. But so I got Hannity's producer's phone number from Matt and off to the races. His producer, Stephanie Wolishin, very pretty young lady with not a single ounce of brains in her head. She lies to me for months. about why this footage is not appearing on Fox News. You can also see and hear our conversations on my Rumble channel, Bobby Powell, The Truth is Viral on Rumble, okay? It's Sean Hannity's Deep State Gatekeepers Say It Isn't So. So, yeah, she lied to me for months about why that video hadn't appeared on Fox News. And finally came to a head when I put her on the air, and everybody listening in northern Michigan heard me say, now, Stephanie, I've been telling my listeners and viewers on my internet show for months that Sean Hannity has got this video. He's on the case, and this is going to bust wide open any second. Now they're starting to call me a liar, and I can't have that. So I said, Stephanie, would you mind telling the estimated 150,000 people listening to this conversation live on the air right now why that video has not been shown on Fox? Click. I knew by that point that there was no use in engaging with her further, and I didn't care. He's no good, Sean Hannity. Not at all.
And you've given it to a lot of other people too that haven't done anything with it.
Oh yeah. By email, I contacted Senator Josh Hawley on through his aide Ben Grunder on March 3rd, 2021, and gave him the video. I ran into Hawley at CPAC 22 in Orlando, and I personally handed him a 3-page written narrative with a thumb drive wrapped inside, and told him my story real quickly. And he's had this video when he was questioning Christopher Wray, where there are any undercover federal agents in the crowd, and Hawley didn't use it. Okay, I gave it to Kirsten Sinema's office, responded at the same time. So got a Democrat senator that also has it. I've since, either by registered letter or by physically placing a thumb drive in the January 6th package in their hand, I have given this video to 18 members of Congress, and 4 of them sit on the Weaponization Committee. Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, Greg Steube, and Thomas Massey. Okay, now
Marjorie Taylor Greene also. Kevin
McCarthy. You got you're getting a little bit ahead of me, but yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Kevin McCarthy, Louis Gohmert, they've all signed for packages. Speaker McCarthy signed for a package. This is all before December of 2021. Okay. Matt Gaetz got his first copy at a Trump rally in Sarasota on July 3rd, 2021, when I handed it to him. I handed it to Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. I also handed it to Florida GOP Chairman Christian Ziegler. And I also sent Christian Ziegler a registered letter. And sent Gaetz a second registered letter. These people will not call me back. In fact, I know that Christian.
What do you think this is, Bobby? We're looking at actual evidence of FBI agents or whatever. Okay, this guy is a bad actor. He's blaming his actions on someone else. It's very clear that he should at least be investigated. He's not being investigated in any way. You're showing our representatives that we pay our tax money to represent us, the only ones with the power to investigate when there's a miscarriage of justice, or if there's we think something fishy is going on. They're the only ones with the power to do so. Why would they not even talk?
Scared to death.
Give you an answer or anything.
Scared to death. They don't want to cross the deep state. Of course, I don't care. I'm old. I'm Christian. if something happens to me when I die, I know where I'm going. I'm going on a 10,000-year fishing trip with Jesus Christ. And that's going to be some fun. So that doesn't scare me.
Some of these people pretend to do something about it, right? They have their committees and they bring in some of the defendants from January 6th. They bring in some of the family members to speak. They even talk about releasing the tapes. You know, they hold it out like a carrot. We're going to release the tapes with this next speaker. You just wait.
Yeah.
But yet they don't.
Remember, politicians, lips moving, lying. So I was successfully able to get the video on Greg Kelly's show on Newsmax one time. And then his producers won't return any of my communications. It's been on Dan Ball, One American News Network, twice. He's actually got me scheduled to come on again. So Dan Ball's got some huevos, let's say. Dan, the newsman, well, God love it. But as I said, once I gave the video to these politicians, they've all ghosted me. They won't return my phone calls. I call and leave messages. I call and talk to staff members. I've called Lauren Boebert's office probably 36 times, and you know, trying to get some answers, and I'm getting none.
Has anyone asked you to be quiet?
Oh yeah. Now we get to the good part. After my hit on Greg Kelly's show, my friend, in air quotes now, Congressman Kerry Bentivolio, former Michigan representative from Bay City, and I were formulating a plan to get this video directly to President Trump. I mean, the guy's the former U.S. congressman. He's obviously got phone numbers in his Rolodex or whatever that I couldn't possibly have access to. So we meet at a rib shack in Bay City. And after the initial pleasantries are over with, you know, how's the wife? How was church this morning? How are the grandkids and all this? We order our barbecue. And Carrie says, hey, Bobby, what would it take to get you to stop talking about your January 6th video? And I said, Carrie, why would I do that? You know, it proves that undercover federal agents, regardless of what agency they work for, whether it's FBI, HSI, or Homeland Security Investigations, or CIA, you know, whoever, proves that Trump people were not responsible for the quote unquote insurrection. And Kerry Bentivolio told me because Ron Weiser wants you to. And I said, why would the chairman of the Michigan Republican Party want me to stop talking about a video that exonerates President Trump? Kerry did not reply to that question, but he did say, how about $100,000? I kind of laughed a little bit. And I said, Kerry, you're blowing my mind, okay? You got to be kidding me. And he looks me dead in the eyes. How about $200,000? Would that be enough? Okay. Now, at this moment, I'm realizing that my friend is actually offering me a bribe to suppress this footage and send it down the memory hole. So I told him, look, Kerry, you go back and you tell Ron Weiser that he doesn't have enough money to buy my honor or my silence. You can tell Ron Weiser that if he wants me to stop talking about this video, he's going to have me killed. At which point, Congressman Bentivolio said that could be arranged. And 6 weeks later, on the anniversary of January 6th, I'm standing outside the Pinellas County Courthouse. I was showing my video. I purchased a projector and a big screen so that I could show my video to audiences wherever I go. Just after I had finished showing this video, the police started moving everybody out of the area. They said there's a suspicious device in the area. And I said, I walked up to a police officer and said, who reported this suspicious device? And he said, a supervisor, and walked away. At first I thought they were just rousting us, right? Because of, who Jeremy Brown was and the crimes that he was falsely accused of. So it wasn't until afterwards, the next day, when Tampa Bay 10 came out with their report, and Sheriff Bob Galtieri, Pinellas County Sheriff, said that the explosive device that Garrett James Smith, got to keep all these names straight, had brought to the rally, but he started to run away, and it attracted attention of police. That's why they arrested him. Okay, apparently he just lost his nerve at the last second. So again, God was protecting us. But anyway, he was arrested. Sheriff Bob Galtieri, the next day of the press conference, said that the device was very destructive, could have hurt a lot of people, and said that Smith had no social media history. Allegedly, he was born on January 6, 2000. I mean, what 20-year-old do you know that has no social media history whatsoever? But Sheriff Bob Galtieri, Pinellas County, confirmed that he had just returned from Portland, where he had attended terrorist training in an Antifa camp.
And you have a video of this on your Substack, just so everybody knows. Okay.
Right. So all of this information, any receipts that you care to see, the receipts from all the registered letters that I've sent, video of me handing this video that I recorded of federal agents attacking the Capitol to basically everyone with a pulse. You can find it all at bobbypowell.substack.com. So anyway, Garrett James Smith, who apparently is a transgender incel of some type, who had changed his name legally to Jordan Hanna a month before, he kept his mouth shut for an entire week until the FBI came to his rescue. And all of a sudden, the Pinellas County Bomb Squad is a bunch of amateurs who can't tell an explosive device from a smoke bomb, which is what the ATF said that it was. Okay, and here's an interesting little aside. It's a project that I've been working on for less little bit. Because I have to know. I'm an information sponge, and they need to ring me out, and news goes everywhere. But I wanted to know, because even a hoax bomb in the state of Florida is a felony. Okay, so I wanted to know why the Pinellas County Sheriff said that one day he says it's a bomb that could have hurt a lot of people, and then the next week the FBI lets him go. And the only charge he's left with was prowling. Okay, and they say that the device wasn't effective. It was just a novelty smoke device. After I produced the show about that attempted bombing, I was sent video from one of my viewers that showed Garrett James Smith in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. He'd been pulled off a Hippies for Trump bus, and a couple of people on the bus were arrested for guns and drugs, but Garrett James Smith was magically allowed to go on his way.
Really?
And video later shows him in the presence of Ray Epps, no less, attacking barriers and attacking police officers. So this kid, Garrett James Smith, or let's be politically correct. Let's call him Jordan Hanna, because he's a little bit of a wussy, okay? He is an FBI asset.
Yes.
The FBI uses Antifa all the time. So they came to his rescue twice. First, when DC Metro pulled over the bus on the original January 6th, and then after he tried to blow up our vigil for Jeremy on the anniversary of Jeremy's on January 6th, 1 year later.
Wow. Is that footage on your Substack as well? To see him coming off that hippie bus? Wow.
It sure is. You know, I'm kind of stuck now. As I said, over this, since January 6th, I've had 6 heart attacks. And it's kind of slowed me down a little bit. Marines never give up. We never surrender. But it has slowed me down quite a bit. The last one that I had, and this is going to blow everybody's mind. The last person that I gave my January 6th video to was General Michael Flynn, December of last year. I had my 5th heart attack, I think it's like 2 weeks before, and I was wearing a defibrillator vest in the event of sudden cardiac death, according to my cardiologist. So whenever it would, if it detected a heart attack, it would automatically shock you, right? Mm-hmm. Shock you back into the sinus rhythm. While I'm waiting in line to give this video to General Flynn, my vest starts vibrating, kind of warning me that it's about to deliver an electric shock. Okay. But the battery pack has a delay button on it. So I kept on pressing that delay button until I could hand that video, and by now it's a 4-page written narrative, directly to General Flynn and his brother Joe. So I went back right back in the hospital, and that last heart attack, they killed me. It's been, almost a year now, and
damn, Bobby, you are a soldier.
I'm still suffering from the effects. When I was testifying in Washington, D.C., I've testified in 2 trials so far. Nancy Barron, U.S. v. Nancy Barron, and United States versus Ryan Zink. My video was relevant because Nancy Barron says that she was pushed into the Capitol by the same guy that was trying to push me in. And my video of those police officers walking away from the window shows Ryan Zink standing on top of a pedestal taking pictures with telephoto lens so that he can see inside the Capitol. So that's how it was relevant in his case.
Did your testimony have any impact on the cases that you testified at?
No, you're not going to get any justice with a DC jury. And as a matter of fact, the judges were, well, let me start with U.S. v. Nancy Barron. Okay. The prosecution fought for 6 hours to keep my video out of evidence and me off the stand. They threatened me with prosecution just for being there as a reporter, doing my job. Not causing any violence. I didn't even go inside the Capitol. I was just taking video outside. Right. The only reason that I'm not in the gulag, haven't been arrested, is because I caught video of federal agents attacking the Capitol. Owen Schroyer was much further away from the East Steps from that action than I was. I mean, I was closer. If Owen Schroyer gets arrested, why wouldn't I be arrested? Because the federal government does not want my video to be seen and entered into evidence. Well, they failed in the Nancy Barron trial, and I was allowed to testify, but I wasn't allowed to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The judge Farkawi, I believe, was the judge's name in Nancy's case. Before the jury even come in, he said I could not mention the words Antifa. He said I could not say undercover federal agent. He just placed a whole lot of restrictions on what I could and could not do. And I said, okay, I'll try to do my best to abide by it. Prosecution says, Mr. Powell, isn't it true that you're being paid to testify here today? I said, no. I said, well, how did you get here? The lawyer for Nancy Barron paid for my plane ticket. Where are you staying? I'm staying at the lawyer's apartment. Isn't it true, Mr. Powell, that you have a Gibson Go of $18,000? I said, okay, yeah, I do. So I've spent my entire life savings, $100,000, had to sell my house, and I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm kind of living in a fifth wheel right now.
Gotcha.
Going around Florida showing my video to anybody that'll watch it. The Pinellas County Patriots saw it just 2 weeks ago. I had Muggs, the same, and you know where Muggs is, right?
Yes.
So I told her, I've given everything for this moment in time to get this video into the record because nobody wants to touch it. I was under surveillance, physical surveillance, the entire time that I was in Washington, D.C. I'm sure that the FBI is all up in my electronics. I occasionally send them or send myself an email from two different accounts with a picture of a mortar gunner sticking up a middle finger while the mortar rounds shooting out and say, hey, dear FBI, go F yourself. So, but I was being physically surveilled the entire time that I was in Washington, D.C. for both trials. And I'll tell you how I know. I got a picture of one of the guys that was tailing me. And this is the second trial, USV Ryan Zink. I had found out by now that you can't take a lighter into a federal courthouse. So as I'm leaving to testify in the Zink case, I dropped my lighter in a flower pot outside of the lawyer's apartment. And when I returned later that day, every flower in that pot had been torn out. I guess they thought that I was some kind of a spy with leaving a thumb drive or dead drop for the Russians or something. I don't know. But anyway, the federal government owes a bunch of flowers to the apartment complex where the lawyer was staying because they totally destroyed that flower pot looking for whatever it was. And all it was a lighter. So
Cool. So I remember that. Yeah, DC is and they've got that geofencing going on. They're capturing everyone's identity and data who's within, I don't know what the mileage is, but you get any step foot in DC and you're definitely getting tracked for sure.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a snake den over there.
And in my case, I'm getting tracked down here. I bought a bug sniffer so that I'd every other day or so I'd check out my truck, I'd check out my fifth wheel, make sure that there are no electronic listening devices. I haven't found one yet, and I hope I never do. But the actions of the FBI since January 6th, in as far as my relationship with them, has shown me that they cannot be trusted. Did I tell you that I had offered to come in and sit down with them 6 times since January 6th? And on top of that, and now after a few times of being refused, I filed complaints with the FBI's Office of Professional Responsibility and the Department of Justice Inspector General. I've done it twice for each office since January 6th. Haven't heard a word back from any of them.
I'm sure.
Nothing.
Have you seen the movie Police State?
No, I haven't. But it was produced by Nick Searcy. He's a good guy, and we've got a good relationship. Matter of fact, my video appeared in his first movie, Capital Punishment. So yeah, I haven't had the chance to see police state yet, but I do plan to. If Nick Searcy's got anything to do with it, it's going to be a good production.
Just goes hand in hand with what you're saying, that we can't trust the FBI. They give multiple examples. January 6th is just one, but they show kind of the behind the scenes of what's going on inside the office. And where are they getting that information from? The FBI whistleblowers, Steve Friend and Kyle Seraphin. And then they have a couple other people that they talk about the movie as well. And then they talk about, you know, the moms at the school board meeting that got their doors rammed in, and, you know, the guy in front of Planned Parenthood. And, you know, like, it is a web that they're weaving. And January 6th is one piece of that. But what's important about January 6th is that we have a lot of our brothers and sisters being persecuted and being political prisoners right now. So that's of the utmost importance. Those people have had their freedoms taken away.
Absolutely.
Liberty stamped on.
The Sixth Amendment doesn't apply anymore. Neither does the Eighth or the Fourth.
Exactly.
I mean, we know that the FBI planted those hand grenades in Jeremy's trailer. Okay, you just don't take ordnance from a military installation. It just doesn't happen unless you're like, oh, I got a funny story to tell you. 1981, I was standing guard at the armory of the weapons company. NCIS comes around the corner with my commanding officer, and he says, "Marine, stand to and charge your weapon." And I'm like, okay. And what happened was the armorer had stolen a bunch of weapons. He'd stolen some 60 millimeter mortars. He'd stolen some M60 machine guns. We were still using M16s at the time. We were called out on the carpet. The next day, the entire battalion said, "We are not going to arrest until we find the person that did this."
Absolutely.
And you know who it turned out to be?
Who?
Eugene Gu. I was sleeping 100 yards away from one of California's most prolific serial killers.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yep. I swear it's true.
Wow.
So after he had been dishonorably discharged from the Marine Corps and spent a couple of years in Leavenworth, you know, he went to California and hooked up with this other guy, and they went on a serial killing rampage. And I can't remember. I want to say between 40 and 60 victims.
Oh my goodness.
So, you know, that's just a kind of funny little sidebar. I mean, it's not funny for the victims, of course,
right,
and their families, but it just shows you how weird things can be, how you can be normal in your life one moment, and the next moment, everything's turned upside down.
Yes.
And that, I'm sure, is how Jeremy's feeling right now. I mean, the man's a damn hero, and the government's coming after him with everything they've got, manufacturing evidence, withholding evidence. Oh, right. In both of the Judge Farkawi and Nancy Barron's trial almost declared a mistrial because the government failed to provide my video to the defense in discovery. I had done it myself.
Yeah. These kind of games, you know, once you really look into what's going on with these January 6 trials, it would really blow people's minds, but they just don't know because no one's talking about it. And just like you said, you're having a hard enough time trying to get your video out there. That's not something anyone who's watching mainstream media is ever going to see. They don't see the shenanigans that are going on in court. They don't see the withholding of the exculpatory evidence, that you can't even talk about January 6th and Jeremy's Tampa trial. You know, it's just all of these things. That is when you realize that the justice system has nothing to do with justice.
No, it doesn't. And it breaks my heart because, you know, I've always grown up from a kid. I was taught to respect law enforcement. Okay. They're here. They're our friends. They're here to protect us from the bad guys.
Yes.
And turns out that they are the bad guys. But what do you expect from an agency that names its headquarters after a sexual deviant who legally spied on American citizens and then tried to use that information to get them to kill themselves, like in the case of Martin Luther King? Okay, so the FBI has a long history of crooked behavior.
Yes.
I watched from I watched as a sniper from the FBI's HRT team shot through the roof of Lavoy Finicum's Ford Bronco as they were going to the sheriff of a neighboring county when the Bundys had taken over the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge, right? And that FBI agent was arrested for tampering with evidence because he picked up the shell casings and denied that he had taken any shots. And so he went to trial, but for some reason, even though they've got him on video picking up the shell casings and putting them in his pocket, he was found not guilty.
Wow.
So there's definitely a two-tiered system of justice in this country, and it's unacceptable.
You're absolutely right.
And I will keep on fighting for the rights of American citizens, and because they're not. These aren't just, our rights are not just something that the founders just thought up one day. They are God-given rights. Okay? The founders simply enumerated them, put them on paper.
Yeah.
The right to speak freely, the right to protect yourself, the right to not be harassed by the federal government, all this stuff. These are all rights given to us by God. And I almost, when they wouldn't let me tell the truth in Nancy Burns' trial, the prosecutor was showing the video of me that I'd taken at the Columbus doors, but she had rolled it a few seconds past where I was being pushed in. So I got up and I said, Your Honor, the prosecution is lying to this court. They're committing a Brady violation right in your face.
Oh my goodness. What happened?
Nothing. Here's another little funny thing. Every time the government objected to my testimony or to a piece of some of my footage, their objection was, and I quote from a sidebar that the attorneys and judges had, my video and testimony was prejudicial to the government.
How is that so?
No kidding.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
I didn't either. I thought evidence was evidence, and you take it into court, the scales of justice, guilty or innocent, okay? And they are not allowing any evidence that implicates the federal government in the most massive crime ever to take place in this country. It was a coup on January 6th designed to cover up the stolen November 3rd election, because there were 5 legal challenges from 5 key swing states, okay, on the floor, and they were objecting to those challenges. And once the I'm going to call it a Fedsurrection. Once that started, of course, all debate stopped, and as soon as Congress reconvened, all those challenges were dropped. That was, in my opinion, the entire purpose of the Fedsurrection.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, because they rushed right through that thing while that was going on. Man, well, you've dropped a lot of truth bombs today, Bobby, and I just want to thank you for your service. because you took that oath and you continue to abide by it, quite frankly.
Well, as I said, it's not just an oath, it's an oath to God. Okay. And Revelation 21:8 says, all liars and all cowards are going to have their part in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur. Okay. You can't put me in one of those categories. I won't allow it. I won't take that fishing trip. I really do. That's what I was planning on doing when I retired. I was going to buy a 52-foot fishing boat and, live out my golden years and get my Ernest Hemingway on. But that wasn't God's plan for my life. I don't know what His plan for my life is. I can't guess what's in other people's minds, much less in the mind of God. But I do know that all things work together for good. Okay, the Bible tells us this. Even our trials and tribulations, that God allowed the devil to take everything from Job. His children died, his wife died, he lost everything, no money, he lost his farm or whatever, homestead, whatever, and he still remained faithful to God. So God will put us through trials, and He will put us through tribulation to it's just like refining us for that final battle. Jesus Christ was not some kind of long-haired socialist hippie running around singing Kumbaya. Okay, whenever people ask me, well, what would Jesus do? I tell them, well, hey, making a whip and beating the crap out of people and flipping over tables is within the realm of possibility.
I was just going to say that.
Great minds think alike.
Absolutely.
But, and I consider Christ to be somewhat of a warrior, because He literally jumped on a grenade to save us from the death that we deserve. And all we have to do is accept His sacrifice. And, we're golden. And, do what He says, repent when you have done wrong. Just, do the best you can, be a good Christian, believe in Jesus Christ, and no matter what happens to you, everything is going to turn out the way God wants it to. Okay, and exactly.
Well, thank you very much, Bobby. Let me make sure that everybody knows where to find you. So we're going to go to our